building volume, but no delays so far. Next update at 6:10 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Celebrating 100 years of informing and entertaining. KMOX AM St. Louis, KMOX FM Hazelwood, the voice of St. Louis.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. President Trump speaks out on protests in Iran as the country's top judge says he'll fast-track trials and executions for demonstrators. Correspondent Jared Hill has our top story.
To all Iranian patriots, keep protesting.
President Trump told anti-government demonstrators in Iran that help is on the way. As sources inside the country tell CBS News, thousands could be dead from the government's violent crackdown on protests. In a wide-ranging interview with CBS Evening News, the president ratcheted up warnings on Tehran if the government makes good on threats to hang protesters this week.
If they do such a thing, we will take very strong action.
He's not saying exactly what that action will be. An Iranian human rights group is warning one protester may be executed today. Venezuela has freed at least 3 Americans who'd been imprisoned under the Maduro regime. Correspondent Michael Wallace.
They're the first Americans to be released since the U.S. military captured the Venezuelan president. The State Department didn't share any details about the freed Americans, but called their release a step in the right direction by the interim government, which has also freed dozens of prisoners from other countries.
Hours ahead of a high-level meeting at the White House, Denmark says it's increasing its military presence in Greenland. And French President Macron is warning if the U.S. seizes the island, it will trigger a wave of unprecedented consequences. Officials from both Greenland and Denmark are set to meet with Vice President Vance and Secretary of State Rubio to discuss President Trump's hope of doing just that. House Speaker Mike Johnson.
Everybody objectively has to acknowledge that Greenland has strategic significance to us and also to other countries around the world, so we need to play that very seriously.
New report on global risks flags a geoeconomic confrontation. CBS's Cammie McCormick.
The World Economic Forum's Global Risks Report warns economic competition is most likely to trigger a global crisis in the next couple of years. Economic downturns, inflation, or the weaponization of economic tools. Armed conflict comes in second, and there are growing concerns about technology like AI. Half of the leaders and experts surveyed said they expect a turbulent and stormy world over the next 2 years. Only 1% expect calm.
Attention, well-heeled shoppers. Saks Global, parent company of Saks Fifth Avenue, Neiman Marcus, and Bergdorf Goodman, filed for bankruptcy protection overnight. The retailer says stores will stay open after the company secured new financing and a new CEO. This is CBS News.
Follow and listen to the official 48 Hours After Show post-mortem on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
It is 6:03 right now in downtown St. Louis. We've got partly cloudy skies, 41 degrees. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. Despite St. Louis having over 100 fewer officers from 3 years ago, crime continues to trend downward, with murders at their lowest level since 2013. Chief Robert Tracy believes once they get their officer numbers back up, crime could fall even further.
If we're getting these results with the amount of officers now, could you imagine if we get back up to budgeted strength? We can really improve on some of these things, and I really believe it, and I commend the officers that are here doing it.
Tracy says they currently have 871 officers, with 26 in the academy, slightly up from a year ago, but down from the 990 they had when Tracy first took over.
Critics say getting rid of the state income tax will bankrupt Missouri, but Governor Mike Kehoe doesn't buy it. He is proposing the move.
This is the people's money, and they can spend it better than any politician, including me.
Kehoe is challenging the legislature to cut $600 million in spending immediately to prove the state can live within its means, arguing the government bloat is the real problem, not low taxes.
Some critics and members of the media will claim that tax cuts put us in a bad budget situation. I disagree. The folks who are saying that just want to spend more of your money.
Kehoe argues that unless the tax is eliminated, Missouri will continue to see flat population growth while other states boom.
I'm Michael Calhoun with Reaction. Critics are warning that Governor Kehoe's push to end the state income tax could end up costing St. Louisans more money in the long run. The Missouri Budget Project argues that swapping income tax for higher sales taxes creates an upside-down system that punishes the middle class and helps the state's highest earners. They point to Tennessee as a cautionary tale, noting that despite having no income tax, the vast majority of residents there actually pay a higher percentage of their earnings to the state than here in Missouri.
It sounds like Governor Kehoe's plan to eliminate Missouri's income tax is exactly what voters want to hear. A poll by White Hot PR puts the income tax as the single most hated levy in the state, ranking higher than even property or vehicle registration taxes. The survey describes the tax as, quote, a quiet irritant.
Missouri's LGBTQ plus public policy and advocacy organization is responding to the Missouri Supreme Court decision on Senate Bill 49. Promo's executive director, Katie Lynch, says, quote, today is a disgraceful day as the courts once again failed Missourians. The Missouri Supreme Court let lies and disinformation dictate what our laws should be rather than the best healthcare practices recommended by every major medical association in this country. Senate Bill 49 establishes the Missouri Save Adolescents from Experimentation or SAFE Act. Under this, no healthcare provider can perform gender transition surgeries on any minor.
Missouri lawmakers are looking at eliminating safety inspections on cars, and Republican State Representative Mazzie Christensen is the sponsor of the bill. But we talked with KMOX car expert Greg Damon about it. He's the GM for Sparks Tire and Auto, and he says this is going to make people less safe driving.
If your car is not roadworthy, then what difference does it make what the speed is? And I mean, you can even go as tires. I mean, I see so many tires that have low tread on them that can hardly channel water or slush or snow or anything else out. It makes it hard to drive.
If this law passes, the $12 inspections will be eliminated for cars under 10 years old and those with less than 150,000 miles.
If a customer goes to a quick change oil place to have their oil changed, they don't really have their car looked over to see if there is any potential issues. So, I mean, there could be all sorts of things that could be wrong with the cars, or, you know, worse, that a regular technician or automotive technician can kind of tell you, like, hey, maybe you don't need this today, but coming up, you're going to need to get brakes or you're going to need to get tires.
Damon says reputable car repair places will do a courtesy check of the suspension, tires, and brakes.
An emerging technology makes it difficult for the city to locate those missing monkeys.
St. Louis City Environmental Health Bureau Chief Justin Hauser says a large influx of AI photos of the monkeys made it difficult to locate where they might be.
We did receive a tremendous amount of information from the community, but it was a challenge verifying the authenticity of some of that information.
Hauser adds anyone who has illegally secured a monkey in the city can turn it over to their department and not face a penalty. However, while saying they would like to find the quote-unquote best place that can take the monkey, they would not rule out euthanasia. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
We'll check traffic and weather next at 6:08.
I do appreciate all the referrals that we receive daily. It is phenomenal. I've said it. I can't say it enough how much I do appreciate the referrals. With that being said, if you do refer me, you're in great hands. I will not sell homeowners that work hard for their money, just like myself, crap that they do not need. But if you want good quality, man, you can't even say cheap anymore. I don't think I can even say cheap you can't even go by price. Okay, that's another commercial. Call me, Bart Inman, one easy number, Missouri and Illinois, 314-293-2600. Remember, it's the only number, Missouri and Illinois, 314-293-2600 or BartInman.com. Now that's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com.
This is the story of the one. As an HVAC technician, he and his digital multimeter are in high demand. So when a noisy office HVAC turns out to be a failing blower motor, he doesn't break a sweat. With Grainger's easy-to-use website and product information, he selects the product he needs to keep everything humming right along. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts.
6:10 and time to check traffic and weather. We start with the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center and Roger Brand.
Well, it's easy going on this Wednesday morning, Debbie, out there. Of course, this time of day, pretty much every day is. The only place I'm seeing a slowdown right now is northbound 55, a little backup as you make your way through McNutt. Now, we had a report of a crash out there earlier, but when the emergency crews went through, they couldn't find it. And at least several vehicles had reportedly gotten off the highway and ended up at the QT there. So, they weren't, serious enough damage that they couldn't clear themselves off the highway. So that was the case. They couldn't find anything. So I'm having to assume that what's out there now is just roadwork related, but there is a backup. I'm seeing brake lights on there as you get through McNutt on northbound 55, but north of there, looks like things are okay. So just volume building, but that's the only place we've got to slow down because of it. In the rest of the construction zones and on the rest of the highways, things continue to cruise along for you so far. Next update at 6:20 for the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Let's check in with AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg and get the latest on our weather. What do you have for us?
Today will become windy and much colder with time, with clouds, some sunshine at times, especially this afternoon, and temperatures slowly falling through the 30s. Tonight will turn out clear, brisk, and quite cold, low 18. Mostly sunny and cold tomorrow, high 36. On Friday, intervals of clouds and sun, breezy and not as cold, the high 45. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It's 40 in Florissant, 40 in St. Peters, mostly clear, 41 degrees downtown at the Arch.
From the business desk sponsored by Krentz Financial Group, KFGadvisors.com, St. Louis shoppers could soon see their groceries arriving by air. Our region is on Walmart's list for a major drone delivery expansion launching over the coming year. The retail giant's teaming up with Google-owned Wing to bring that service here, part of a wider push to reach nearly 300 stores by 2027. The tether system can lower packages under 5 pounds right into your front yard.
It's not a surprise for some that Tuesday morning, the State Board of Education voted to lower accreditation for St. Louis Public Schools.
State Education Commissioner Carrie Casey from Chesterfield is the member who proposed lowering accreditation.
The St. Louis Public School District has, 1, continued to show instability in leadership in maintaining a superintendent. During the past 3 years, there have been 5 superintendents, and this position is currently filled by an interim status.
KMOX Talk with AFT Local 420 spokesman Byron Clemens.
We understand that the State Board of Education had said that accreditation would be frozen in place until 2027.
The lone person who voted against lowering accreditation is Pamela Westbrooks Hodge from Pasadena Hills. Maria Aquino, KMOX News.
And
I'm Michael Calhoun. After the vote, SLPS is moving quickly to reassure families that the change to provisional status won't actually change what happens inside of the classroom. The district emphasizes that schools will remain open, seniors will still graduate on time, and local governance remains in place. While leadership says they are disappointed by the outcome, they're pledging to focus on stability and financial repairs to win back full accreditation as soon as possible.
The St. Louis City Police Commissioners were given one main task by Governor Mike Kehoe: fill out the department to budgeted strength.
My hope is that their number one objective is starting to work with the chief and the command staff on what they can do to attract and also retain men into the city police department.
Governor Mike Kehoe in June when he first announced his nominations to the Board of Police Commissioners. Yesterday, the chair of that board, Chris Saraceno, said they're combing through the budget to find more money available to make the job more attractive. I asked if the board has a goal they'd like to hit this year.
We have a goal of what we're going to do, but those will come through the chief to us in order for us to deliver. If he would love to see us bring an X number of people, whether it's on the street, in the support roles, how that looks, we will work to find the dollars, to find what we can do to bring that number up.
Chief of Police Robert Tracy says he doesn't have a specific numeric goal in mind, but knows their officers need higher salaries if they want to be able to recruit more and keep them from leaving.
We did get a historic raise in 2023. We got a 7% raise last year, but we still are not as competitive as our surrounding areas. And those are the things that we're looking at with this board as far as where can we get the money within our budget to give these officers raises.
Tracy says they have hired back 40 officers who previously left the department since 2022. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
And on a walk out to the field, Oliver Marmol before Matthew Liberatore can throw a first pitch. The infielders are gathering around Matthew Liberatore and Oliver Marmol. Coming over from third base, Nolan Arenado. Arenado is being hugged by his teammates on the infield, and he will get to say his goodbye for this season to the St. Louis Cardinals home fans. As Arenado jogs off the field, and Nolan Gorman will come out to take the spot at third as Arenado tips his cap to the crowd at Busch Stadium.
That was on September 21st in what turned out to be indeed his final game at Busch Stadium as a St. Louis Cardinal. He will return as an Arizona Diamondback. The Cardinals traded Arenado to the Arizona Diamondbacks yesterday, along with cash considerations, reportedly 31 of the $42 million that Arenado is still owed, for pitcher Jack Martinez, an 8th-round pick by Arizona last year out of Arizona State. President of Baseball Operations Chaim Bloom asked how he weighed the money being sent and the return for Arenado.
The situation and all aspects of the situation, and there's no hard feelings about it. I think it's just where everybody was. To us and to Nolan, the situation just was, really pointed towards a fresh start, a fresh start for him, and just moving forward for us. So knowing that was the best outcome, you obviously then had to factor in different things around potential trades, the financial parameters, et cetera, the return. There. Obviously recognizing there's a lot of different things that go into play. When you have a situation like this, where Nolan is also a party at the table, with full control over where he goes, you're really just looking for the match first and foremost. At the same time, my job is obviously to represent the interests of the Cardinals too, and make sure that the deal is something that, we feel is in our interest and that we can justify. And certainly whatever financial flexibility comes out of it is a part of that. So it's all part of the calculus there. At the same time, you don't want to get, too picky and too cute with these things, because otherwise in a situation like this, you're just not going to end up with a deal if you do that. And, that obviously wasn't going to serve anybody's interests.
The Cardinals also officially announced the signing of right-handed reliever Ryan Stanek, and St. Louis City SC officially announced the signing of their 22-year-old midfielder, Daniel Edelman, from the New York Red Bulls. The Blues played last night, and they won 3-0 at home against the Carolina Hurricanes. Coach Jim Montgomery.
I thought tonight was the smartest game we've played as far as playing a simple but very effective game. Making them turn, being really reliant on our forecheck and playing fast. And I thought the little details and habits within our game, block shots, net front box outs were the best they've been all year.
And a shutout for Joel Hofer in the process. Blues win at 3-0 over Carolina. SLU plays tonight on KMOX, 7 o'clock tip at home against Fordham. We'll have the pregame at 6:45. SLU's 15-1 on the season. Missouri hosts Auburn at 6. Illinois visits Northwestern at 7:30. I'm Tom Ackerman on the voice of the Billikens and Cardinals, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Know that hiring can be challenging. You sort through tons of resumes and you get too many so-so applicants. You're just waiting for someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now there's a place where you can meet them fast. ZipRecruiter.
Need to hire right away. Start your search for strong candidates. The right fit awaits. Build your team. Build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/radio right now to try it for free. And you're on your way to meeting your match. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So try it now. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
Fairwinds River's Edge is more than a place to live. It's a place to belong. Come see why we have been voted Best Independent Senior Living Community for 4 years in a row by U.S. News and World Report. We think you'll like it here, and the experts agree. Come see us for yourself. Call to schedule a tour and complimentary lunch, or to learn more about our upcoming app university that can help enhance your everyday life. Find us online at fairwindsriversedge.com.
Attention business owners with a net income over $500,000. You need to work with a tax strategist that understands your entrepreneurial mindset. Download the most recent white paper written by E3 Consultants Group titled The Power of a Professional Tax Strategy Team. Go to e3wealth.com/radio to obtain a copy. It's time to learn about wealth and tax strategies that protect your personal and business economy. E3 is ready to help you think differently about your finances. Educate, empower, enlighten. That's the E3 difference.
Total Information AM. The news continues on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It is 6:20. This is Total Information AM. I'm Debbie Monterrey, along with Tom Ackerman and Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, things are getting a little bit busier, but it's still not bad out there, Debbie. Just hearing word of a stall. They said it's in the express lane, so those aren't very heavily traveled, eastbound 70 before you get to Tucker. So just as you're coming through Graham, pay attention. But the express lanes are usually very lightly occupied, and they are right now. So don't worry about it. Just be advised of it. Northbound 55 has that slowdown about midway up from A into McNutt. There's heavy traffic. It looks like it almost comes to a stop at a couple of points. Brakes are definitely on through there. The right lanes are a little busy north of Butler Hill. It's a little slow. Just between Bayless and Weber on northbound 55. North 270 still good to go, though, from 55 all the way up to Ladue. Out west, eastbound 70, eastbound 64, southbound 61 look great. I do see a little bit of a slowdown westbound 370 right as you approach our city. There may have been some road work they were picking up. It didn't look bad like it did yesterday, though, thankfully. Riverview at Schweitzer have a report of an injury crash in North City, and they dispatched emergency crews there. Next update at 6:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Weather forecast. AccuWeather's Joe Lundberg says it is going to be chilly today. We're actually going to drop into the 30s as we get windy conditions, and tonight a low of 18. Tomorrow, sunny and cold, high 36. Friday, breezy, not as cold, high 45. Saturday, Sunday, temperatures in the 20s. Real feels in the teens. Currently, it's 42, feels like 31 downtown at the Arch.
It is 6:22, and you've probably heard by now, crime is down in the St. Louis area, and it is also down nationwide. Trying to find a specific reason for the decrease can differ. Maria Kina has a follow-up this morning with St. Louis County 21st Circuit Presiding Judge Bruce Hilton and County Prosecutor Melissa Price-Smith.
KMOX has reported this week on how St. Louis County impaneled a second grand jury to process more cases. And that in itself might be an indication as to why some differ on their opinion of crime being down. One of those people is Judge Bruce Hilton.
What's the indication? Why is crime down?
I'm not buying it.
You're not?
No.
Talk to me about that.
I mean, just because of what I see. Now, granted, I'm focused, but and I would love to see the backup of the statistics of how they say that. In a perfect world, we wouldn't need a second grand jury if violent crime was down. That's what we need to fix, and the judiciary can't fix it. Prosecutor's office can't fix it. The public defenders, the community has to fix it. And I know there's great leaders in the community that are trying to, but there's no sanctity of life, and that's what's so sad. I mean, I see young people coming into my courtroom that they don't think they're going to live past 18, so they all have firearms and they all defend themselves because somebody got in an argument by shooting someone. That's what we're seeing. That's what I'm seeing. And I don't know how to change that.
That's the $1 million question. I mean, we have community groups, but still nobody can find the way. How do we change it?
Well,
One of the things when I took over the office, one of the goals is to hold violent offenders accountable. And one of the things we did was create a violent crime unit. So those cases are reviewed in real time as soon as an officer applies on those charges. We also changed our gun policy to have a lot stricter gun policy. We are no longer offering straight probation with no conviction on any crime committed with a gun. Because as the judge said, you see very young people who have no respect for life and carrying guns around on a regular basis. But in addition to that, I think one of the other answers is being out in the community. And we are trying since day one to be in the community constantly in every zip code. And I think the most important zip codes, though, are the zip codes that don't trust us, that don't know us. They don't trust the police. They don't trust us. But I believe when we go to certain areas, we were at a meeting recently and someone raised their hand and said, I don't trust you and I don't trust the police. And honestly, that's when the conversation got real and good and authentic. And I think it's those conversations that we have in those communities helps us to have conversations, see what they need from us. It also helps us to reach more victims. I am constantly saying disclosure leads to healing, disclose, your voice matters. But I've also learned since I've been in this role, there are victims out there who are repeat victims and they have no one to disclose to. So the more we're in the community, I think we can help young people make better decisions. We can develop trust with these communities and show these victims that their voice is safe and make a difference. But I think we cannot be out in the community enough, and we are trying to do it as much as possible.
I've got to ask the question you mentioned about guns. In Missouri, it is very difficult because there are very few regulations on guns in the state of Missouri. How much more difficult does that make your job?
Oh, 100%. Guns are everywhere. We could walk out on the sidewalk right now and someone could be walking by with a gun and you could call the police. There's absolutely zero they could do. And that is why that when I took over, we now have a stronger gun policy because we can charge if that individual on the street points that gun at you. Even if they don't pull the trigger, we can charge if they shoot into a house or a dwelling or commit any crime with a gun. But because it seems to me that everybody has a gun, because of that, we are taking a stronger stance on gun crimes. We truly believe that it's those offenders who carry guns become our trigger pullers. And I think if we do not take a stronger stance on guns, saying no more probation even for first-time offenders, there has to be some sort of jail time or shock time. I feel if we don't do that, then we have no right to sit around later and say, why are there so many homicides? Why are there so many violent crimes? We have to address our trigger pullers sooner in the process. And so they understand that we are taking these cases seriously and that we are not going to tolerate crimes committed with guns.
When you went ahead and changed it and made them stricter in the county, any pushback from the state?
No, not pushback from the state. I mean, it's a policy our office has. If someone is facing, say, an unlawful use of a weapon exhibiting, where they point a gun, the example I used earlier, they face up to 7 years in the Missouri Department of Corrections. But we have discretion, and the judges have discretion about whether to sentence them to X number of years in prison or probation. It's ultimately the judge's decision, but our recommendations are no longer straight probation. The pushback probably from, the defense bar doesn't like it. And if I were a defense attorney, I wouldn't either. But in order to keep St. Louis County safer, we have got to take a stronger stance on guns. Otherwise, we don't have a right to complain when the cases get more violent.
Maria Kina, KMOX News.
It is 6:28. And the time check is sponsored for you by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Your eyes are so important, and it's easy to take things for granted until something goes wrong. So my advice to you is get your eyes checked once a year, not just to make sure that you can read the eye chart, but to make sure that the health of your eyes is good. And I would highly recommend that you call Ophthalmology Associates. Ophthalmology Associates, they are the doctors. The doctors of Ophthalmology Associates are experts in diagnosis and treatment of diseases of the eye. Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, Andy Royer. Their number is 314-966-5000 or youridoc.com. For me personally, I'd been getting my eyes checked regularly. I had been going to an allergist. I had no idea that I had dry eye disease and that it was affecting my vision until Dr. Ranjan Malhotra said, you have dry eye disease. We need to work on this. And my vision is better. I don't have to wear my glasses like I used to. So he was right. My vision improved. So I'm just telling you, they can find things that others have not at Ophthalmology Associates, the doctors at youridoc.com.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 80% water, right? It doesn't clean as well.
80% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Oh, let me make an announcement.
Attention shoppers, if you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Stop paying for watered-down detergents. Pay for clean. If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Pods. Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
At LendSeek, we know running a business takes heart, hustle, and sometimes a little help. That's why we stand with you with our exclusive AI lending platform, connecting you to over 100 funders. If you've been in business for at least 2 years with a minimum annual revenue of $500,000, you can get up to $1 million in funding in as fast as 24 hours. No collateral, no prepayment penalties, no red tape. Apply today with no cost or obligation at lendseek.com. That's LENDSEEK.com.
I'm Ultima Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Every time one of my children started driving, it was terrifying. Thousands of accidents happen across the country. We see it every day. If you've been injured in a car accident, call us.
Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
42 degrees and clear in downtown St. Louis at 6:30. I'm Tom Ackerman.
I'm Debbie Monterrey, and this is Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, we're building volume out there, but it's still not terrible. If you're on northbound Highway 55, that's the first place we normally see slowdowns these days. It is slow midway up from A through McNutt, and it's also slow again from the Union Road overpass all the way up to River to Pear. The 55 merge-on lanes on the North 270 are a little slow, but once you get on to 270 proper, it looks great. Just a little busy briefly right through Doherty Ferry, southbound 61, south of Wentzville Parkway, down to 64. So there's a very brief slowdown running through that area right now. So that doesn't look bad at all. And they were reporting a crash on westbound 70 in the city. They called out EMS just a moment ago, but we did have that stall in the express lane. So somebody may have mistaken that for a crash unless somebody ran into the stall. But I still don't see any delays through the area. I see a little slowdown at Jennings Station right now, but that's outside the city limits. Next update at 6:40 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
AccuWeather's Joe Lundberg says we're going to have a chilly one today. In fact, with some sun at times, but wind and temperatures falling through the 30s. Much colder tonight, low 18. Tomorrow, sunny and cold, high 36. And for Friday, breezy, not as cold, high 45. But with the wind Saturday, Sunday, we're looking at real feels in the single digits, especially on Saturday. Currently, it's 42 downtown at the Arch.
Missouri Governor Mike Kehoe is defending his budget proposal that slashes hundreds of millions of dollars in state spending. Kehoe, in his State of the State address, declared the state has been living beyond its means, relying on temporary federal COVID funds that have now dried up. KMOX recently interviewed State Auditor Scott Fitzpatrick about the problem.
This budget cuts more than $600 million from the core, starting to correct a future spending imbalance of potentially over $2 billion.
Kehoe insists his cuts are necessary to avoid a fiscal cliff. He says the days of using surpluses to excuse overspending are over.
The American Cancer Society reports for the first time, the 5-year survival rate for all cancers combined is now 70%. KMOX Health Editor Fred Bottomer.
WashU medicine oncologist Dr. Lindsay Peterson at Siteman Cancer Center.
This study, I think, was very promising overall. We're seeing a major trend in the right direction in terms of cancer deaths. So we're seeing a lot of cancer deaths averted, which is really due to a combination of things, including better screening techniques, better treatments, as well as some lifestyle changes in terms of fewer and fewer people smoking.
On the downside, she says new incidences of colorectal and breast cancer are way up, especially in younger people. Fred Bottomer, KMOX News.
In Illinois, there's a push to get homes tested for a silent killer.
The state says around 1,200 people in Illinois die every year because of radon. It's a tasteless, odorless, and invisible gas. The state EPA says all homes should be tested. Radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in the nation. In Kendall County, estimates are 1 in 5 homes have levels of radon that are higher than what the feds recommend. The Will County Health Department says 37% of homes test higher than acceptable levels. Cisco Cotto, News Radio 105.9 WBBM.
The news sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. Your Money Minute next on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Okay, I don't want to be mean, but if you're a guy and you just have a grimy, multiple times refilled bottle of Dial that's got the crusty soap on the outside, that's a red flag.
What if you just have a bar of Dial soap with no soap dish?
I never like the bar of soap.
What if you have one bar of soap and you take it from the shower to the sink, back to the shower? How would you feel good about going to that guy's house?
Oh my gosh, I think I would just leave without saying anything.
Chris Ranji, Amy Mark Scores, weekdays at 9 on KMOX.
Bag huge savings on your painting projects at Menards. From your kitchen and bath to doors and trim, and even your ceilings. Dutch Boy has the perfect choice for your painting projects. Dutch Boy's Durafighter is a tough paint and primer that provides great scrub resistance and durability. Durafighter interior paint starts at $27.75 a gallon. Get an additional 15% savings on all Dutch Boy paints when you put it in the bag. See store for complete details.
Save big money at Menards.
Let's go. The NFL playoffs are here, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, makes every moment feel bigger. In the postseason, the game shifts fast, and with DraftKings live betting options, you can stay right in the moment. Plus, DraftKings has your back with early exit protection. If the player in your eligible NFL prop bet goes down at any point in the first half, you still get paid in cash. With DraftKings, you're covered through the entire half. Why bet player props anywhere else? New customers, here's your shot. Bet just $5, and if the bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use KMOX. That's code KMOX to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility and restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Additional terms at dkng.com/audio. Limited time offer.
It is 6:36. In 4 minutes, we'll check traffic and weather for you. But first, it's time for your money report, sponsored by Eamon Gantner and Capriano Elder Law Attorneys.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. The consumer price report for December is out, one of the last big indicators before the Fed rate decision later this month. Inflation rose less than Wall Street expected in December. The core consumer price index, which excludes food and energy, rose 2.6%. That's a 4-year low. There was a notable 1.1% decrease in prices for used cars and trucks, and grocery prices rose 0.7%. That's the biggest gain since 2022. President Trump says that starting today, the U.S. is imposing a 25% tariff on goods coming into the U.S. from countries that continue to do business with Iran, despite the possibility of that derailing his 1-year trade truce with China, the world's top buyer of Iranian oil. Meanwhile, oil has climbed to a 2-month high after Trump amped up rhetoric over Iran, heightening investor concerns about supply disruptions in OPEC's fourth biggest producer. West Texas Intermediate futures rose by as much as 3.2%, reaching the highest level since early November. Erica Herskowitz, Bloomberg Radio.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $40 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $18 a month, a savings of nearly $300 a year.
Whether you need a $100,000 policy or a $10 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance. In a hurry? Don't worry. With SelectQuote, you can get up to $2 million in instant, affordable same-day coverage with no medical exam.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-637-9116. That's 1-800-637-9116. Or go to SelectQuote.com. That's 1-800-637-9116. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
Refresh your bathroom with big savings at Lowe's. Reimagine your bathroom with up to 40% off select faucets during our Bath Savings event. Need it today? Order by 2 p.m. for same-day delivery by 8 p.m. Shop for your bathroom refresh at Lowe's. We help, you save. While supplies last, selection varies by location. Same-day delivery on eligible in-stock items, subject to availability. Fees vary. Visit Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for full terms.
My name is Whitney Allen. I am a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought in a million years we'd have to use life insurance. The unexpected happened. With Ethos, it is so fast and easy. It's 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage through Ethos.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
I dared Archwell Health to keep track of my vitals and my grandkids' names.
I dared Archwell Health to simplify my prescriptions, so Max and I have more time to play. Good boy.
And I dared Archwell Health to be closer than my neighborhood coffee shop.
Our members dared us to do more as a primary care provider for adults age 60 and up. So we made it our mission. Visit archwellhealth.com and become a member today. Archwell Health. We dare to care.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
It's men's Billikens basketball action tonight as they face Fordham. Pre-game 6:45, tip at 7 on your home for Billikens basketball. 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Oh, you better believe I'll be there. It's going to be a good crowd tonight. Billikens taking on the Fordham Rams. Roger Brand's in the overhead door company at St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, it'll be a good night to be inside to be warm with a bunch of other people, I think. You're right, Tom. It'll be a nice evening there, I'm sure. This traffic report's a service of Financial and Tax Strategies. Getting a little busier on the highways. Northbound 55. Doesn't look bad down south. Barely a slowdown at McNutt right now, but it is backed up Union Road overpass up to Bayless, and then from there up to Holly Hills. It's busy. North 270, slower traffic. Tesson Ferry through Gravois, Big Bend up through about Clayton Road, busy on slow on that run. Southbound 61 Highway P down to Wentzville Parkway, and then 64 past Prospect. You've got some slower traffic, but east of there, you're good to go. Eastbound 70 is fine. I mentioned a crash. Westbound 70, that is at O'Fallon Park, right there around the bend up just past West Florissant. Right lane's blocked. So there's a short jam up building there on westbound 70. It's not impacting eastbound 70. That stall we had in the express lanes was not part of the equation. That's on the shoulder, safely out of the way. And downtown westbound 64 west of 3rd Street onto the Poplar slow. Next update at 6:50 from the overhead door company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Retirement shouldn't feel like balancing a checkbook while blindfolded. I'm Gary Goldberg, and my team helps you see the big picture so you can retire younger, richer, and with less anxiety. Because guessing is not a strategy. Tune in to Wealth and Wisdom with Gary Goldberg Saturday mornings at 7 here on KMOX.
It is 6:41. If you're heading out the door, you might think, oh, it's nice, it's fine. But just wait. AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg is joining us with the details.
Change is already beginning, Debbie. The wind is picking up out of the west, the northwest, and the temperatures are beginning to fall, and they're going to continue to do so throughout the day. We'll end up going backwards through the 30s, despite some sunshine, and that stiff wind out of the north and west could gust to 35 miles an hour at times. Overnight tonight, skies will be clear, but it will be a lot colder, down to 18. Sunny but cold tomorrow, the high 36. We head to Friday, we'll see clouds and some sun. The breeze will pick up, and it won't be so cold. The high rebounds to 45, but then another front comes through Friday night. Saturday will be windy and much colder with more clouds and sun and a high only 26. Sunday, partly sunny with a high just 29. Right now, it's down to 39 at St. Peter's, 40 in Florissant, partly cloudy, getting windy, and 45 downtown at the Arch. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Not so sure. I'm Fred Bodimer with 60 Seconds to Better Health. A new study finds most people who were hesitant about COVID vaccines eventually got the shot.
Researchers at Imperial College London followed more than 1 million people in England after the pandemic began. 3% were vaccine hesitant.
That had mistrust in the vaccine effectiveness and mistrust about the processing of generating the vaccine.
But 65% of them went on to get at least one shot.
The moment they got access to information that was solid about the side effects and so on, they managed to get vaccinated.
Professor Mark Shadow-Hyam says it's a good lesson for public health officials.
Education and robust, validated information is the key for getting rapid adherence and ultimately better control of the spread of the pandemic.
Michael Wallace, CBS News.
The study was published in the British medical journal Lancet. With 60 Seconds to Better Health, I'm Fred Bodimer.
American tourists will soon pay a hefty price to enter the Louvre as France taps non-EU attendees to fund a massive museum renovation. reporter Brad Gibson is in Paris.
The Louvre is raising ticket prices 45% for visitors from outside the European Union to fund major renovations at the world's most visited museum. Visitors have mixed feelings.
Should be raised for everyone on an equal platform. I don't really know the reasoning behind that logic for non-Europeans. I mean, I do support charges being raised to help preserve the buildings, but obviously I think it should be fair.
The price hike will help to raise some $35 million a year in funds to upgrade the Louvre. Brad Gibson for CBS News, Paris.
Trevor Noah is set to host the Grammy Awards for the 6th consecutive year, marking his farewell gig. The Recording Academy announced Tuesday that the South African comedian will return one final time for the February 1st show, where he will also serve as an executive producer. Only Andy Williams has hosted the Grammys more often, with 7 appearances. Noah, a 4-time Grammy nominee, is up this year for Best Audiobook, Narration, and Storytelling Recording. Kendrick Lamar, Lady Gaga, and Jack Antonoff are among the leading nominees for the 68th Annual Grammys, airing live from Los Angeles.
With Arenado going down the steps of the first base dugout, congratulated by his teammates there. Gorman comes out to play third base. Oliver Marmol stopped by the home plate umpire, the crew chief James Hoy, to inform him of the change.
And with that, Nolan Arenado had stepped off the field as a Cardinal for the last time. Arenado traded yesterday officially to the Arizona Diamondbacks for pitcher Jack Martinez. He's a right-hander, 6'4", 215, Arizona State product, 8th round pick of the Diamondbacks last year. The Cardinals also send $31 million of the $42 million owed to Arenado to the Diamondbacks. Now, here's your lineup projected at the moment. Brendan Donovan might indeed be traded as well, but Donovan, Herrera, Burleson, Nootbaar, Wynn, Gorman, Walker, Pages, Scott. Let's say that's your lineup. What do you notice about that? All of those players were drafted by the Cardinals, except for Herrera, who was signed as a free agent when he first came into the game, but they're all homegrown. Chaim Bloom, the Cardinals president of baseball operations, has traded Sonny Gray, Wilson Contreras, and Arenado. All had to waive their no trade clauses in their contracts. And the other part, if you remember, he did trade Mookie Betts when he was at the helm of the Boston Red Sox. This is something that he is used to doing, doesn't make it any less difficult.
Well, I'd like to think, and selfishly will hope and pray, that those two situations age a little bit differently. But yeah, you're right. It's not something you ever take lightly. There's not that many people in the Hall of Fame, and to talk about him as I have, and as I believe that he will be one of them someday, regardless of where he's at in his career, where we are, that's not something you take lightly. It's baseball royalty right there. So we're mindful of that. At the same time, a lot of what comes with this chair is not to let emotion and sentiment and nostalgia even override executing on what's best for this team and being fully committed to where we need to go. I've talked a lot this offseason about if we are committed to this, the more we commit to it, the quicker we will get there, and the better we'll be when we do. And to me, this falls into that category. So it's something that you can't not be mindful of it, but I can't dwell on it, and we can't think too much about it, as long as we also think that what we're doing is the right thing for the organization.
Chaim Bloom, the Cardinals have their official signing of Ryan Stanek announced as well. Right-handed reliever, most recently with the New York Mets. Daniel Edelman was recently announced by St. Louis City SC, midfielder from the New York Red Bulls, 22 years old, former captain of the U.S. Youth National Team. College basketball tonight on KMOX. SLU taking on Fordham. 7 o'clock tip-off, 6:45 pregame for the Billikens, who are 15-1 on the season. Mizzou plays tonight. They're home against Auburn at 6. Number 13, Illinois at Northwestern tonight at 7:30. Some other games to keep an eye on: Illinois State at Indiana State, Missouri State at Western Kentucky, Drake at Southern Illinois. The Blues won last night, 3-0 over the Carolina Hurricanes. A shutout for Joel Hofer, a very well-played and smartest game of the season, according to Coach Jim Montgomery. We'll hear from him at 7:15. It perhaps inspired 15 players attended the previous night's Blues Hall of Fame ceremony at the MAC. I'm Tom Ackerman on the voice of the Cardinals and Billikens, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
The St. Louis Symphony Orchestra brings the sweet nostalgia and soul-shattering passion of Tchaikovsky's Fourth Symphony to life this January. This energetic program also features performer Wu Wei, playing a stunning concerto on the sheng, a mouth organ and one of the oldest known Chinese instruments. Don't miss this unique program. January 24th and 25th at Powell Hall at the Jack C. Taylor Music Center. Tickets at slso.org.
The 29th annual Winter Warm-Up is coming back to Busch Stadium in Ballpark Village, January 17th and 18th. Admission passes and player autograph tickets are on sale now. Team up with Cardinals Care to support St. Louis area children by purchasing your tickets now. It's one of the best events of the year with family-friendly activities, including tours of the Cardinals clubhouse and admission to the world-class Cardinals Hall of Fame and Museum. For more information, go to KMOX.com/events.
Total Information AM on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
It is 6:50 and time for us to check the roadways and the weather, which is already changing back over to actual January. So hang on to your hats for that. From the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center, here's Roger Brand.
Well, we got some trouble downtown, Debbie. I mentioned in the last report about a crash, or they were a report of a crash earlier. It's at just past West Flores, westbound 70, blocking the right lane. So traffic's jammed back through Grand right now. Not quite back to Salisbury, but I'm sure it'll get there. So just be prepared. Westbound 70, not impacting eastbound 70 drivers at all. Northbound 55, if you're coming up into the city via that route, you got the usual backup from the Union Road overpass up to Weber. Slowed a couple of spots up past River to Perrin Loughborough after that. Northbound 270, approaching Tesson Ferry through Gravois, and then approaching Big Bend to Manchester, Clayton Road to Ladue. It's pretty busy most of the way through there, as you can see now on North 270. Southbound 61, both sides of Highway P, Wentzville Parkway down to Lake St. Louis Boulevard onto 64 is pretty slow right now as well. Downtown on the Illinois side, we have some slow traffic westbound 64 at the 70 split, and then 3rd Street headed across the Poplar. Next update at 6:58 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
It's going to be cold today, Roger. We're going to get a high of what it is right now, really, 42 degrees. Feels like 31 because we're going to slowly fall through the 30s today, says Joe Lundberg. Tonight, low 18. Tomorrow's high 36. And Friday, breezy, not as cold, a high of 45. It's 42 downtown at the Arch.
The news continues at 6:51. While construction in some industries may be lagging, data center construction is hitting its boom period in Missouri and nationwide, according to industry leaders. Kyle Van Slyke is with the construction firm Musselman and Hall, which builds projects in Missouri and other Midwestern states. He says during a conference call last week that data centers can transform a region's economy.
There's a workforce and employees that need to come to run those data centers. And then it just touches on all the other things that make our communities go with the build out of the utilities. You bring more people in, that translates to homes, hospitals, roads. All those are interconnected.
Not everyone's a fan of data centers, though. Concerns include higher electric bills, light pollution, noise pollution, and a strain on water resources.
An executive search firm has been hired to find a replacement for Rhonda Homnabrugge, the director of St. Louis Lambert International Airport since 2010. She's announced her retirement with a target date of August. Greater St. Louis Inc. says it has hired Korn Ferry of Los Angeles. Mayor Kara Spencer would ultimately make the hire. The person hired would need to jump right in to handle the $3 billion rebuild of Lambert.
Flu and respiratory illnesses climbing across Missouri. Health officials say it's hitting hard this week. Dr. Laura Morris with MU Healthcare says they're seeing a lot of cases of influenza A.
We also, though, are seeing a climb in our RSV cases, and we have seen about a 30% uptick in our pediatric hospital numbers over the last week or so related to both flu and to RSV.
Morris says COVID is still present in the community, but unlike flu, it's not seeing a surge right now.
Some experts are crediting the availability of fentanyl test kits with a recent reduction in overdose deaths. Jenny Ambruster, executive director of Prevent Ed, says many organizations provide the kids free of charge.
You can mix a small amount of a drug that's being used with water and put it onto the test strip, and it will let you know if fentanyl is present in the substance or not.
Armbruster points out the test won't tell you how much fentanyl is present. She says the hope in providing fentanyl test kits is that someone will live to eventually seek addiction treatment.
Entering a Ford plant in Dearborn, Michigan yesterday, President Trump gave the middle finger to a worker and yelled the F word at him. That was in response to the worker shouting pedophile protector at the president. The Trump administration has yet to release more than 1% of the Epstein files as required by federal law. The White House didn't dispute the video of Trump flipping someone off, and it called it an appropriate response to a lunatic.
I heard it's somebody's birthday.
Birthday excitement.
It's your birthday.
We have your birthday shout out sponsored by Renner Garage Door, RENNER, forward and back, family owned and top rated, RennerDoorSTL.com. To get a birthday or anniversary announced in this segment, just email it to totalam@kmox.com, totalam@kmox.com. Happy birthday wishes going out to Debbie Thomas. Also, happy 7th birthday to Kinsley Schaffner from the Spring family.
The best birthday ever.
Hey, this is Charlie Brennan, along with Dr. Colleen Bosler and Dr. Adam Voss at the Audiology Center. When was the last time you really enjoyed a conversation without straining to hear?
Charlie, so many people think hearing aids just make things louder.
But that's old technology. Today's hearing aids do so much more.
Exactly. With the dual chip technology, our hearing aids actually separate the speech from the background noise.
Which means at a noisy restaurant, you'll hear your friends and family, not the clinking dishes.
And the best part, your brain doesn't have to work overtime trying to fill in the blanks.
So that keeps your mind sharp, your conversations easy, and your relationships stronger.
Because hearing well isn't just about sound, it's about staying connected.
Thanks, Doctor. Call the Audiology Center today to schedule your annual hearing evaluation. Don't miss another moment. Call 636-441-7470 or visit the AudiologyCenterSTL.com.
Get this, 42% of baby boomers don't even know how much money they have in their nest egg. If you're not sure where you stand in terms of getting ready for retirement, you should be listening to the All Financial Hour with Steve All.
Let's sit down and talk about your questions, because I think that's the most important thing that it is out there. It's what questions do you have?
Saturday mornings at 10 or Sunday evenings at 6, right here on KMOX.
I do appreciate all the referrals that we receive daily. It is phenomenal. I've said it. I can't say it enough how much I do appreciate the referrals. With that being said, if you do refer me, you're in great hands. I will not sell homeowners that work hard for their money, just like myself, crap that they do not need. But if you want good quality, man, you can't even say cheap anymore. I don't think I can even say cheap by the... You can't even go by price. Oh, okay, that's another commercial. Call me, Bart Inman, one easy number, Missouri and Illinois, 314-293-2600. Remember, it's the only number, Missouri and Illinois, 314-293-2600 or bartinman.com. Now that's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com.
A new season, new faces, a new direction. The road to the 2026 St. Louis Cardinals season begins at the Cardinals Care Winter Warm-Up, January 17th and 18th at Busch Stadium in Ballpark Village. The Cards are building for the future, and KMOX has exclusive coverage starting at 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday. Hear from players, alumni, and Cardinals leadership about what's ahead. Exclusive coverage of the Cardinals Care Winter Warm-Up on the voice of the Cardinals, KMOX. Total Information AM, Debbie Monterrey, Megan Lynch, Tom Ackerman on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Hey, it's 6:58. Roger Brand, Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, good news downtown, Tom. They cleared the crash westbound 70 past West Florissant, so lanes are open now. There's still stop-and-go traffic, though, from Grand around the bend at O'Fallon Park. It'll take a few minutes for it to thin out, so just have a little patience. If you're coming eastbound on 70, there's no problem from Wentzville all the way in through that area. Nobody eastbound was even slowing for a look. Southbound 61, south of P, midway down to Wentzville Parkway, and then south of there onto 64, the Boulevard, a lot of busy traffic. A little slow at 170 after that. Northbound 270, approaching Gravois and Big Bend, most of the way up to Ladue. There are busy spots. Northbound 55, of course, from the Union Road overpass all the way up through Holly Hills is pretty heavy right now. Downtown, westbound 64, you've got some volume from basically the 70 split. It's busy off the pace most of the way onto and across the Poplar Street Bridge. And out in the Union, Missouri area, we have a crash on the ramp from 50 getting onto eastbound 44. The ramp's restricted. You can get by on the right side. It's just sort of slow merging onto eastbound 44 there. Next update at 7:10 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
It is Wednesday, January 19th. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
I'm Maria Kina.
It only costs you $36 every 2 years. Wouldn't you want to have the peace of mind for that?
Why car expert Greg Damon says Missouri should keep safety inspections.
I'm Tom Ackerman.
I'm Sean Malone. How does the Board of Police Commissioners for St. Louis City plan to recruit and retain officers? I'll tell you coming up.
Iran's top judge hints speedy trials and executions are ahead amid protests, and President Trump is threatening very strong action.
This is AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg. Clouds and some intervals of sunshine today, windy and turning colder with temperatures falling through the 30s.
Your headquarters for Nolan Arenado trade discussion and for the Billikens' big game tonight. SLU and Fordham will have it for you at 7:15.
The trusted voice of St. Louis. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. Iran's top judge is hinting at quick trials and executions for what he says are violent protesters. It comes after President Trump told CBS Evening News anchor Tony DeCopel if that happens, the U.S. is ready to respond.
This strong action you're talking about, what's the end game?
The end game is to win. I like winning.
Iranian human rights groups are warning that a 26-year-old protester may be executed today, and the death toll is growing. Correspondent Natalie Brand.
The president said multiple times yesterday that he is trying to get an accurate number of the number of protesters killed during these ongoing demonstrations. Sources tell CBS News that it could be at least 12,000, possibly upwards of 20,000.
President Trump posted to Truth Social last hour that anything less than having Greenland in U.S. hands is unacceptable. His remarks ahead of a meeting between officials from Greenland, Denmark, and Vice President Vance today. Danish political analyst Noah Reddington.
All people in Denmark are really afraid, really concerned, also in Greenland, that the Danish and the Greenlandic government will be presented for an ultimatum. This is a take it or leave it. And also that they will be completely thrown under the bus by J.D. Vance and insulted and humiliated.
The U.S. has acquired a device that may be connected to Havana syndrome.
More than 1,500 American officials in Cuba and other countries have reported symptoms after hearing a loud, high-pitched sound.
Intense pressure on both of my temples.
The sound is like nothing I've ever heard before.
I felt like I couldn't really walk.
Sources tell CBS News the Pentagon acquired a portable backpack-sized device in late 2024 that contains Russian components and emits pulsed radio frequency energy. Neither the Pentagon nor the CIA have replied to our request for comment. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
Tragedy in Thailand today. At least 30 people were killed when a construction crane fell onto a moving passenger train. The BBC's Jonathan Head from Bangkok.
And it just happened to fall as the train was passing, so it completely crushed, we think, at least 3 of the carriages. One of those carriages appears to have caught fire. Looking at the wreckage, it's badly burnt, and we think that's where a lot of the fatalities were.
An Emmy-winning actor is in trouble.
Vincent Jack Bauer.
24's Kiefer Sutherland has been released on $50,000 bond after he was arrested in L.A. for allegedly assaulting and making criminal threats toward a rideshare driver near Sunset Boulevard. 59-year-old actor was booked on an unnamed felony charge. This is CBS News.
Follow and listen to CBS News Roundup on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm
Piera Palazzolo, VP of Digital Marketing for the American Management Association, a company focused on the management training skills needed to enhance the careers of business professionals. We did our research when it came to the best companies for website development and chose AmericanEagle.com. And we couldn't be happier. AmericanEagle.com worked closely with us to understand the front and back end requirements needed to launch an e-commerce website that could handle the complexities of running thousands of seminars nationwide. Our robust new website and improved SEO saw immediate increases in site traffic and web revenue. If you're in need of managerial effectiveness and success, visit our website at amanet.org. If you're in need of a website that provides an unparalleled consumer experience, I highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Transform your business today. Dial 877-WebNow1 for a free digital consultation with American Eagle.
It is 7:04, and right now we've got cloudy skies officially. It's 40 degrees. Temperature keeps dropping in downtown St. Louis. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman.
We have to be bold. We can't just take the same old anymore.
Governor Mike Kehoe saying Missouri's tax code is stuck in the past and he wants to bring it into the 21st century by taxing your subscriptions. In his State of the State address, Kehoe argued the state is missing out on revenue from digital giants and Missouri taxes them. It can afford to eliminate the income tax for everyone else, which he is also proposing.
Today, much of our commerce happens through monthly subscriptions and digital services like online advertising, ebooks, and AI platforms that fall outside of our current sales tax base. Their billionaire owners don't pay.
Kehoe promises he would never support expanding sales taxes to agriculture, healthcare, or real estate to make the math work.
I'm Michael Calhoun with Reaction. The Missouri Budget Project is throwing cold water on the governor's State of the State pledge, calling the proposal a lemon that lacks a real plan, they say. Group President Amy Bluen warns that to make the math work, the state would have to hike sales taxes, which would actually increase the total bill for working families across the St. Louis metro. She argues the administration should focus on funding schools and workforce training instead of changing the tax code, which she says would more benefit the wealthy.
Because the APR scores are increasing, this board cannot justify lowering accreditation.
State School Board member Pamela Westbrooks Hodge on putting St. Louis Public Schools on provisional accreditation. She was the only member dissenting. State Education Commissioner Carla Esslinger doesn't think the provisional status makes a big difference.
But really and truly, for us to be able to address the concerns that we see with this school district and others, and I truly believe that, it's with working directly with them.
But AFT Local 420 spokesman Byron Clemens tells KMOX punishing the entire district for the actions of the CFO, previously employed by KIPP Charter and hired by the prior leadership, is not fair.
The city of St. Louis is offering residents who have secured a monkey the opportunity to turn it in without facing a penalty for violating the law. But what happens to the monkey? Justin Hauser is the city's Environmental Health Bureau chief, asked if euthanasia was on the table.
We don't want to limit our options. We want to ensure that these monkeys end up in the best place for them. And there are multiple agencies in the state that we've been in contact with that have the willingness and the resources to make sure that happens.
One more. You don't want to limit your options, but euthanasia?
All options are available currently.
The city is also no longer actively searching for the monkey, but advises anyone who sees it to call animal control.
From the business desk sponsored by Krentz Financial Group, KFGadvisors.com, going out of business sales are underway at the 4 remaining Value City furniture stores in the St. Louis area. No qualifying bids came in last week at an auction for Value City's Ohio-based parent company, American Signature, which filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in November. The 4 remaining Value City stores have going out of business sales in St. Anne, Manchester Meadows and Town and Country, Mid-Rivers Mall Drive in St. Peters, and in Fairview Heights.
We'll check traffic next. It's 7:08.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
ZipRecruiter. Hey, good morning. You're heading to the airport, right?
Yep, thanks for checking. I like the car. How long have you been a rideshare driver?
About 3 years now. I really enjoy it.
Isn't it hard to make money these days with the price of gas being so high?
Not for me. I use Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get real money back when you get gas with the Upside app?
Yep, I get real cash back every time I get gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
I'll make around $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code RAIN to get up to a $5 per gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code RAIN to get up to a $5 per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code RAIN.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts.
It's going on 7:10, so let's get you a check of traffic and weather. The weather, by the way, has already dropped 3 degrees since earlier this morning and looks like it's winter again. And you never know when that'll change the way our weather's been going. Let's get a check of the roadways. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center is where we find Roger Brand.
Well, it's pretty well thinned out at westbound 70, Debbie. Just before the top of the hour, they cleared that crash past West Florissant in the city, so it looks good going around the bend there now, so that's great to see before we get to the heart of the rush hour that there aren't any delays there at this time. Northbound 55 from Bayless up through Holly Hills is pretty slow. North 270 at the 55 merge-on is heavy. Tesson Ferry through Sappington, slow. Approaching Big Bend pretty much all the way up to Ladue is off the pace on northbound 270 after that. Southbound 61 crossing over onto 64 through Prospect is kind of slow, but then it picks up the pace after that. They're still working this crash on the ramp from 50 onto eastbound 44. The ramp's restricted. You can sort of sneak by on the right side, so it's just slow going, passing the crash. I think the car was like 50 feet down the embankment there, so they have a tow truck on the scene trying to yank that out of there and get going. Once you hit 44, though, of course, you're in great shape. Downtown, we're getting better. Westbound 64, just slow west of 3rd Street onto the Poplar now. Next update at 7:20 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
It is chilly indeed. AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg with the latest.
KMOX AccuWeather, blustery today and turning much colder with clouds and some sun at times, especially this afternoon. Temperatures slowly falling through the 30s. Tonight will turn out clear, brisk, and much colder, low 18. Tomorrow mostly sunny, cold, high 36. For Friday, intervals of clouds and sun, breezy and not as cold, high 45. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It's 40 in Florissant, 39 in St. Peter's, mostly cloudy, 40 downtown at the Arch.
The news continues at 7:11. Homicides and other violent crimes are down across St. Louis City. One key number could be why so many residents don't feel safer.
In 2025, both shooting incidents and victims were down over 15% from the year before. Homicides were also at their lowest in 12 years. However, Chief Robert Tracy acknowledges he still has not reversed the declining number of police officers, with currently 871 commissioned officers, 26 of them still in the academy. Tracy says that number has been holding steady.
We're not losing at the rate we used to lose. We were losing people to other professions, losing before 20 years. Everything's kind of stabilized.
Last January, there were 857 officers. 39 of them were in the academy. Tracy says that total was 990 when he first joined in December of 2022. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
The Board of Police Commissioners' top task from Governor Mike Kehoe is to fill out the department's ranks. Board President Chris Saraceno knows in order to accomplish this, the officers need higher salaries.
We are committed to find the budgeted dollars to be able to bring more officers to the street and also to bring us up to a competitive rate along with that of St. Louis County or other jurisdictions that we compete with to bring our officers back to this department.
Chief Tracy says he believes a more competitive salary is what is needed to finally fill out the hundreds of unfilled officers the department's budgeted for.
If we can be in a place where we start to get some of that, where we start to become more competitive when it comes to the economics, I told you, we already got the patch that I think makes up for a lot of that. But if we can get the economics and storied history and the morale going up.
Tracy says going from city control to board control can help speed things along because they will have their own HR department working to hire officers instead of relying on the cities, which has to hire for a number of other departments as well.
You could have bad tires, bad suspension, bad steering.
And if Missouri lawmaker Republican Mazzie Christensen has her way, safety inspections will be a thing of the past on cars in Missouri.
Kimlick's car expert Greg Damon, general manager for Sparks Tire and Auto, says for him, safety inspections not only keep you safe, but the car next to you.
Because I just want to be safe. I want my kids to be safe when they're out driving and not have an issue in their car or somebody else's car running into them. And that's what it comes down to. Missouri has generally had lower auto insurance than a lot of other states because of the safety inspections.
Now, large trucks still require safety inspections, which the Missouri Highway Patrol conduct, and vehicle emissions would remain in effect for all vehicles. Maria Kina, KMOX News.
Back to our coverage of the trade of 8-time All-Star, 10-time Gold Glover Nolan Arenado. He is now an Arizona Diamondback. The deal made yesterday as the Cardinals sent Arenado and cash, reportedly $31 million of his remaining $42 million salary, to the D-backs for pitching prospect Jack Martinez. What does this mean for the Cardinals' third base position, and for that matter, second base moving forward? Here is President of Baseball Operations, Chaim Bloom.
Yeah, as you mentioned, still a lot of offseason left, and just the way that this offseason has gone, not even for us necessarily, but even across the industry, there's still a lot of unfinished business, even though we are now in mid-January. This is an area part of why I think baseball-wise, outside of the particulars of the situation with Nolan, why I think baseball-wise, this is a move that makes sense for us, is because we do have a lot of players on this club and in this organization who can help us outside of players who have already played prominent and starting roles. Obviously, Mason and Brendan, but we've been talking for a long time now about wanting to get opportunity for consistent opportunity for guys like Gorman. Didn't have the year last year that we were hoping. Obviously, there were times when the opportunity was inconsistent. But there were also, some of that's also on him, obviously, and he knows that. This potentially opens up more opportunity for him, for a young player like a Sajasi, who has shown flashes of being able to contribute to a winning team. This may potentially open up some more lanes for him. And then obviously that's without touching on JJ and other players in the organization that can help us both short term and long term. So we do feel like we have really good internal options there and really interesting internal options. And that is also part of why this made sense to us outside of, like I said, the particulars with Nolan.
He saved J.J. Weatherholt for last. When Weatherholt was drafted by the Cardinals, some believed that he was the best prospect in the entire draft. All of our Cardinals coverage right here, the Gas House Gang at noon. We are the home of the Cardinals. After all, we're also the home of the St. Louis Billikens. Big game tonight. SLU and Fordham, 7 o'clock tip, 6:45 pregame. SLU is 15-1 overall, unbeaten in the A10. But they have a coach who really took them to task this week, and he said as much after an 84-72 win over LaSalle.
What allows you to separate yourselves, the ability to sustain it. We didn't have the discipline to execute for 40 minutes on either end today. We did enough to win, so I don't want to diminish the win because it sounds like I'm, we lost by 20, and I don't want it to sound like that. But we didn't play to our standard. We didn't play the full 40. And that's something that for us, if we're going to be the kind of team we want to be, that I have to, and they have to, I can do my part, but they have to buy into correcting. And I started that process in the locker room, and I will continue that process. When we get reconvene on Monday, I can assure you that process will continue. And there'll be a very transparent film session about what I'm not happy about and show them, because I think sometimes in real time, guys don't always see it.
That is Josh Schertz, the Billikens, and the Rams tonight at 7 o'clock. Mizzou hosts Auburn at 6. Illinois, 13th ranked team in the country, at Northwestern at 7:30 tonight. St. Louis City SC announced the signing of Daniel Edelman, midfielder from the New York Red Bulls, is 22 years old. The Blues won last night 3-0 over the Carolina Hurricanes, inspired by the previous night's Blues Hall of Fame ceremony. Coach Jim Montgomery.
About 15 of our players were in attendance last night. And when you're hearing, the Hall of Famers that are getting inducted, Barrett Jackman and Steiner did a great job. And then, Chaser with everything he's done for the Blue Note and the stories about Bobby Plager by Brett Hull, Al McInnes, Pronger, Kachuk, Gary Younger, and Red Berenson. There was a lot of history there last night. And I think it really soaked in.
That is Jim Montgomery. He watched Joel Hofer record the shutout, and the Blues' next game is Friday night at home against Tampa Bay. I'm Tom Ackerman on the voice of the Cardinals and Billikens, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
This is Corey from Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. There's never a good time for your heating system to stop working. If yours does, no matter what time or day, Air Comfort Service offers 24/7 emergency HVAC service. Contact our award-winning team for 5-star heating service and stay in your comfort zone. For heating and 24/7 emergency service, contact Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation at aircomfortservice.com. That's aircomfortservice.com.
When it comes to planning your retirement, there's a lot to think about. Portfolio management, tax planning, and retirement income just to get started. Steve All and his team at the All Financial Group focus on those things and more. Their goal is to help you achieve your goals. Call 636-230-8824 or online, yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve All, NPN number 153-07419.
Well, in my job, I have to be able to see well, whether it's looking at the monitor here while I'm doing news on KMOX or calling the game tonight on TV or whatever it is. You've got to be able to see well in this business. And Ophthalmology Associates knows that, and they help me out. Their experienced eye doctors specialize in vision care services such as cataract surgery, LASIK, or for me, just a routine annual eye exam. Easy to do. I just go to youridoc.com. It's probably time for me to request a new appointment. Just put it in, and I can even pay my bill right there at youridoc.com. Youridoc.com. It's simple. 314-966-5000 for Ophthalmology Associates, whether it's Doctors Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Bersati, or Andy Royer. You're going to be seen by an expert. In fact, over 250 doctors go to see Ophthalmology Associates. They need good eyes as well. youridoc.com.
Total Information AM on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
It is 7:20, time for traffic and weather. Here's Roger Brand. He's in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, I'm seeing delays right now, Debbie, on eastbound Highway 70 about midway in from Wright City to Forestel. Not sure if it's roadwork related or if we have another incident, but it is starting to bog down through that stretch. Once you get past that point, eastbound 70 is great shape all the way into downtown. Eastbound 64 coming off 70 through most of the way to Lake St. Louis Boulevard is kind of busy. Westbound 64 from Hampton to Hanley, that's slower now. Northbound 270, delays from the ramp on at 55 up to Gravois, and then approaching 44 pretty much all the way up to Ladouce. There's not too many breaks in it there, but it's all slow on northbound 270. Northbound 55, the right lanes are south of Butler Hill up to 270. All lanes from the Union Road overpass all the way up through Holly Hills pretty busy. Northbound Telegraph, north of Herb up to Pottle looks like we have a lot of congestion there. And downtown, we're doing better. Westbound 64 now just a little slow approaching the Poplar. Next update at 7:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Weather-wise, we're looking at a blustery day today, says AccuWeather's Joe Lundberg, and some sun at times, but temperatures falling through the 30s down to 18 tonight. Tomorrow, sunny and cold, high 36. Currently, it's 40 downtown at the Arch.
The news continues at 7:22. A new report from the American Cancer Society finds some big gains in cancer survival rates. KMOX health editor Fred Bottomer talked about it with Dr. Lindsay Peterson, a WashU medicine oncologist at Siteman Cancer Center.
This study, I think, was very promising overall. We're seeing a major trend in the right direction in terms of cancer deaths. So we're seeing a lot of cancer deaths averted, which is really due to a combination of things, including better screening techniques, better treatments, as well as some lifestyle changes in terms of fewer and fewer people smoking. We do see some interesting increases in some cancer diagnoses. We call that cancer incidence. However, that may be related in some cases, again, to our better screening or to incidental findings, meaning we're doing tests on patients for other things and we happen to find a cancer. But I think what's really interesting about the increased incidence is that in certain cancers like breast cancer and colorectal cancer, we're seeing an increased incidence in younger patients, patients who would not be screened otherwise. So there's also something going on. So as much good news as there is, and I think that is the focus, that the cancer deaths are really down dramatically, we are seeing an increase in some cancers, certainly in younger patients. And so there's a lot of attention that needs to be paid there.
Especially in colorectal cancers too, right? In younger people?
Exactly, in colorectal cancers. And one interesting thing that this article pointed out was that they tried to estimate the number of cancer deaths from colorectal cancer that we would see as a result of colorectal cancer screening being postponed or put off during the pandemic. And they estimate that in the next 10 to 15 years, potentially 4,000 to 7,000 excess deaths will occur due to colorectal cancer due to that misscreening in the pandemic, which I think really just highlights the importance of everyone getting their cancer screening.
Any specific cancer types that are doing better with survival than others?
So most cancer types are seeing improvements in survival. I will say there are some more dramatic improvements that we're seeing. And the great news about that is that we're seeing these more dramatic improvements in cancers that notoriously have had very poor survival rates. So we're seeing significant improvements in lung cancer, in liver cancer, in metastatic melanoma. And so these are patients that in the past had very low 5-year survival rates, and we're seeing increases in those above and beyond what we're seeing in some of the more common cancers. So I think that provides a lot of hope, and I think that especially is a testament to the newer therapies, immunotherapies and other targeted therapies that we're able to use in these diseases.
What are some of the key numbers we need to know about percentages when it comes to survivorship?
Sure. So one of the things that this study pointed out is they looked at cancers overall, included all cancers, and found that the 5-year survival rate for all cancers across the board is now up to 70%. If we look specifically at certain types of cancers, like I mentioned, cancers that historically have had very poor survival rates, we're seeing increases in liver cancer from what used to be 7% to 22%. Increases in metastatic melanoma from 16% to 35%. Lung cancer for regional lung cancer, which is a localized lung cancer, from 20 to 37%. So we're seeing really, really large gains in these more traditionally poor prognosis cancer types.
That is Dr. Lindsay Peterson, a Washington University oncologist at Siteman Cancer Center and director of Siteman Cancer's Survivorship Program.
It is 7:26. Time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Leave all the 2025 dirt and celebrate the new year with our friends from Zero Res. Carpets, tile, rugs, upholstery, hard surfaces, basically every surface in your home can be Zero Resified, so it's time to call the cleaning pros at Zero Res. Zero Res has a 4.9 rating on Google, bringing in the new year with 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $119 plus a free hallway. Take 15% off regularly priced services when you mention the KMOX special 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
I dared Archwell Health to keep track of my vitals and my grandkids' names.
I dared Archwell Health to simplify my prescriptions, so Max and I have more time to play. Good boy.
And I dared Archwell Health to be closer than my neighborhood coffee shop. Our members dared us to do more as a primary care provider for adults age 60 and up. So we made it our mission. Visit archwellhealth.com and become a member today. Archwell Health. We dare to care.
Hey guys, Kevin Wheeler here for FanDuel Sportsbook, which, by the way, is the official sportsbook of KMOX. Well, they are turning on playoff mode, so all customers get a profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. So each game day during the divisional round, you'll find a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts waiting for you right there in the app. And more boosts means more ways to level up your playoff bets. So pick the matchups you believe in, take your shot on an upset if you want, or hey, if you want to roll with the 2 number 1 10 seeds. If you want to roll with Denver and Seattle, you're free to do that as well. You can build a parlay that fits the moment, whatever you like. Then you take those choices and you apply your profit boosts and go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs keep rolling. So visit FanDuel.com/Missouri to grab your profit boost pack every NFL game day. And remember, must be 21 or older and present in Missouri to play. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens, and restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
At LendSeek, we know running a business takes heart, hustle, and sometimes a little help. That's why we stand with you with our exclusive AI lending platform, connecting you to over 100 funders. If you've been in business for at least 2 years with a minimum annual revenue of $500,000, you can get up to $1 million in funding in as fast as 24 hours. No collateral, no prepayment penalties, no red tape. Apply today with no cost or obligation at lendseek.com. That's LENDSEEK.com.
With the new IHOP value menu, $6 is all it takes to go to your happy place, where stacks of pancakes with bacon and eggs are just $6 every day. French toast, sausage, and eggs are, you guessed it, $6. And fluffy omelets come with a side of pancakes and only cost $6. Go to your happy plates every day at IHOP. $7 in some locations. Available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at LanceDruryLaw.com.
Hey guys, Dave Glover here from the Dave Glover Show. So, what is my show? My show is 4 different people living 4 different lives, all coming together every day between 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. to talk about life, actual life, not so much headlines or did you see what Trump did today or XYZ. Never predictable because I never know what I'm going to talk about from one segment to the next. So it truly is unique and unpredictable. Join us.
104.1 FM, KMOX.
It is 7:30 and the sun is up. We have a few clouds in downtown St. Louis. It's 40 degrees. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. Roger Brand's in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, if you're heading in on eastbound Highway 70 coming in from out west, we have some slow traffic coming in through Forestel briefly. It looks like it's pretty well thinned out now. 10 minutes ago, we had a lot of slow traffic, so an incident they cleared pretty quickly. It's just a little slow ramping on to eastbound 64 and southbound 61 just at the crossover with eastbound 64. The only place I'm seeing a delay there right now. If you're on eastbound 64, we do have a backup through Chesterfield Parkways. It's slow to about Timberlake, and then it's slow at the Interbelt, so 170 into about Big Bend. Westbound 64 approaching Hampton out to Big Bend. We had a minor crash there, by the way, within the last couple of minutes. Southbound 270, Olive down to Ladou's busy. North 270 pretty much the whole way from 55 up to Manchester, and then Clayton Road to Ladou is pretty slow. Down south, northbound 55 looks okay. The right lanes are heavy at Butler Hill. There's a jam from the Union Road overpass up to Weber. Then a couple of slow spots up through Virginia. Westbound 64, Baugh Avenue to 3rd Street, and then on the Papa Street Bridge, a couple of places to expect delays for Illinois drivers. Next update at 7:40 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
It's going to be a blustery day, turning much colder with clouds and some sun at times, especially in the afternoon. The temperature is going to continue dropping from where it is into the 30s until we end up overnight at 18 degrees. Tomorrow, mostly sunny and 36. It's 40 right now.
The St. Louis County Police Department has issued an endangered person advisory for 17-year-old Anthony Clayton Jr. He was last seen Monday night in the 6300 block of Christopher Drive in South St. Louis County. He has mental health diagnosis and a history of running away. He's described as 5'8", 208 pounds, brown hair and blue eyes, last seen wearing a white shirt and blue sweatpants. Anyone with information about Anthony Clayton Jr. is asked to call the St. Louis County Police Department.
Missouri's LGBTQ plus public policy and advocacy organization is responding to the Missouri Supreme Court decision on Senate Bill 49. Promo's executive director, Katie Lynch, says today is a disgraceful day as the courts once again failed Missourians. The Missouri Supreme Court let lies and disinformation dictate what our law should be rather than best healthcare practices recommended by every major medical association in this country. This is about Senate Bill 49, which establishes the Missouri Save Adolescents from Experimentation, or SAFE Act. Under this, no healthcare provider can perform gender transition surgeries on any minor.
Fentanyl test kits are one strategy being credited for lowering overdose deaths. Jenny Armbruster, executive director of Prevent Ed, tells KMOX's Total Information AM test kits used to be classified as drug paraphernalia, but are now legal.
Fentanyl test strips are available at no cost by most organizations that distribute both naloxone or Narcan and other overdose medications. They're available at treatment and substance use organizations. They're available through other outreach organizations around the St. Louis community.
The latest data shows a drop in the number of fatalities from fentanyl, but it still accounts for more than half of all overdose deaths.
Missouri Senator Eric Schmitt and Congressman Wesley Bell proved last night that you probably shouldn't challenge lawmakers from the beer capital of America to a brewing contest. The pair took home the top prize at the Brew Across America competition in Washington, D.C. with their Archlight Lager. Bell says the win was sweet, but the real prize was proving that Democrats and Republicans can actually get along.
This was fun. This is what bipartisanship is supposed to be about. And I'm glad we got to participate and obviously win.
Amen. Cheers.
The St. Louis duo beat out teams from across the country to win the Brew Democracy Cup.
Cheers to that. That is awesome. It's 7:34. The news sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com.
At Uline, the prevailing opinion is if you don't live it, you don't believe it. The people at Uline believe in hard work, and they live it by being there 24/7 to answer your call, having 41,000 items in stock, and offering same-day shipping from 12 locations across North America. Business owners, sellers, buyers, shippers, and packers believe it. Uline is the hard-working, dependable source for your shipping and industrial supplies. Visit uline.com.
Thy ticket, Lady Jennifer of Coolidge.
Well, many thanks, good sir. Hereeth my Discover card.
They accept Discover at Renaissance fairs?
Yeah, they do here. Discover is accepted at the places I love to shop. Getteth with the times.
With the times?
You're playing the lute. Yeah, and it sounds pretty good, right?
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2025 Nielsen report.
It is 7:35. That means it's time for us to check your money report. It's sponsored by Busey Bank.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Central bankers around the world are throwing their support behind Fed Chair Jerome Powell in a coordinated response to the threat of criminal charges leveled at the Fed chief, which Powell says should be seen in the context of the Trump administration's pressure on interest rates. Central bank heads, including those at the European Central Bank, Bank of England, and the Bank of Canada, say they stand in full solidarity with the Fed and its independence. Apple is rolling out a new subscription bundle of apps called Creator Studio. It's an attempt to give its photo and video editing software fresh momentum in the face of intensifying competition. The bundle includes apps such as Final Cut Pro and Logic Pro. It'll be available in a couple of weeks for $12.99 a month or $129 a year. Wall Street traders are sending stocks lower today as inflation data is failing to alter bets on a pause in Fed interest rate cuts, while JPMorgan Chase is leading a slide in banks after its end-of-year earnings show unexpected weakness in its underwriting and advertising businesses. Erica Herskowitz, Bloomberg Radio.
This is the take care of my family goal. This is the enjoy the life I've built goal. This is the set up a foundation goal. This is Busey, where your goals become lasting legacies. Through bespoke plans that maximize your wealth, through partnerships that give you peace of mind. Because building wealth, tending to it, and passing it down secures a brighter future. Busey Bank, building business, growing wealth since 1868. Member FDIC.
Hey, what's up, Izzy? Also known as the Kool-Aid Man. You got any New Year's resolutions?
I got one, Eddie. I've promised myself to spend more time on that toasty, warm, huge, heated outdoor patio of yours. It's nothing like having your coat off, drinking the coldest beer in town with hundreds of your family, friends.
Man, it is a toasted patio, and that's a great resolution. And, thanks for not mentioning things like weight loss and health kick. And those would be hard in Fast Eddie's. It'd be hard to lose any kind of weight or take away from anything when you got the 5-pound Fat Eddie burger, the hot chick on a stick, that big Elwood on a stick, and those succulent peel into each shrimp.
Yeah, I am not losing any weight hanging around your place. I learned it's a lot easier just to make those resolutions simple and fun, buddy.
Man, and that's easy. You're right. That's a great resolution. So make your resolution fun. And head on over to Fast Eddie's Bon Air. You know where to go across that big, beautiful Clark Bridge and come into Alton, Illinois. So like Mr. Shannon always said, if you're 21 and in the mood, we'll see you at Fast Eddie's Bon Air.
Kool-Aid Man.
It's men's Billikens basketball action tonight as they face Fordham. Pre-game 6:45, tip at 7 on your home for Billikens basketball. 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Billikens 15-1 on the season, unbeaten in the Atlantic 10 and one spot out of the top 25. We have much more coming up on SLU at 7:45. It's 7:38. The City of St. Louis School District is not fully accredited anymore. There was a State Board of Education vote yesterday morning. Only one board member was against lowering accreditation, which is now provisional. It opens the door for the state to have more oversight and charter schools to expand. The reason for the change is that the annual audit was late and performance scores are low.
One man has died, another injured following a shooting in the 2600 block of Caroline. This happened about 6:30 last night. St. Louis police say one man has died. The second was taken to a hospital, and the extent of that victim's injuries are not yet known.
Look up St. Louis. Your next last-minute Walmart run might be flying over traffic to get to your front door. The Wall Street Journal reports the St. Louis metro area is set to be a launch site for Walmart's expanded drone program, designed to drop off small items like dinner ingredients or cold medicine in under 30 minutes. It's part of an aggressive push to bring aerial delivery to millions of new customers here and across the country by the end of next year.
I don't know how I feel about that. Think about how many drones are going to be flying around, and then people are still talking about how we need flying cars. People can't drive on the road. Can you imagine what would happen if we had people flying cars into drones and buildings? Sounds kind of like a nightmare to me.
It's a lot to keep track of.
It sure is.
I saw a drone flying over Highway 6440 this morning. I was like, oh, hi.
I wonder whose drone that
I
was.
don't know. Somebody was flying around out there. Let's see what Roger Brand sees out there. Overhead door. It wasn't Roger. I know that. Overhead door company, the St. Louis Traffic Center.
Yeah, it's the peak time of the rush hour. I don't know if any drones are keeping eyes on things or not, but busy nonetheless, no matter where you are. If you're on northbound 55, it looks good down south, but the right lanes, Mattis up to the North 270 exit are slow. All lanes backed up from the Union Road overpass up through to about Holly Hills. North 270 from 55 all the way to Ladue is pretty slow. South 270, just all the Ladue, kind of heavy there. Eastbound 70 seeing some slow traffic into Wentzville Parkway, and 94 to the Blanchette Bridge, a little busy approaching 270. Southbound 61 Wentzville Parkway on to 64 at the Boulevard is heavy. It's slow from about Annie Guns to almost Timberlake and McKnight to Big Bend. Westbound 64 from Kings Highway to Big Bend is pretty heavy. Downtown, eastbound 44 past the Poplar out onto westbound 70 through to almost at least Madison is slow, and westbound 64 from Baugh Avenue across the bridge is heavy the whole way along the line there. Next update at 7:50 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
It is 7:40, and let's get a look at the forecast. We had some clouds downtown, but now it looks like we just have blue skies and lots of wind. AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg is joining us. Joe?
Hello there. Oh,
Hi.
yeah, Debbie. Hi there.
Hi there.
Coming in right in the nick of time. Cold front is coming through, and it means business. When I came in this morning, we were in the mid to upper 40s. Most places are now on the cusp of getting into the 30s, if not already there. That's the weight of this Arctic air mass that's coming in. It means business. The 60s of yesterday gone today. We're going to drop through the 30s with clouds and some sunshine and a pretty stiff wind out of the north and west at that. Tonight, by the time we wake up tomorrow morning, we're going to be in the upper teens under clear skies. We'll see sun-filled skies tomorrow, but it is not going to be warm. Our high only 36. Cold eases a bit on Friday with clouds and sun ahead of another cold front, the high of 45. Behind that, it's even colder on Saturday and windy with clouds, some sun and a high just 26. Sunday will be partly sunny, the high 29. And for Martin Luther King Jr. Day on Monday, sunshine but cold highs near 30. It's down to 38 in St. Peter's, 37 in Florissant, 41 and partly cloudy at the Arch. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Thank you, Joe. It is 7:42 on Total Information AM, and the news continues. Scott Adams, creator of the comic strip Dilbert, has died at the age of 68. His ex-wife, Shelley Miles, announced his death on Tuesday. Adams had prostate cancer that spread to his bones. Dilbert once appeared in 2,000 newspapers worldwide, capturing the absurdities of office life. In 2023, Adams faced backlash for racist remarks, leading to the strip's removal from syndication. Despite controversy, Adams continued his work on the platform Rumble. He was known for his satirical take on corporate culture, but his later years were marked by increasingly controversial views.
Great news for K-pop lovers.
K-pop's BTS announces its first world tour since returning from mandatory military service. It will kick off in South Korea in April and runs through March 2027 with over 70 dates across Asia, North America, South America, Australia, and Europe. It's the group's first headline tour since their 2021-22 Permission to Dance on Stage World Tour. Jennifer Kuiper, CBS News.
Car mechanics in the Denver area are busier than usual after hundreds of drivers pumped diesel fuel into their tanks instead of regular gasoline. The story from CBS's Christopher Cruz.
A shipment of diesel fuel was mistakenly sold to gas stations as regular unleaded gas. Cars that got the diesel instead of regular unleaded are going to need repairs costing thousands of dollars. Mechanic Adam Sevilla.
For some cars, they run really rough. Some cars don't have great acceleration. Some cars don't even run at all. They'll die and they won't restart.
State consumer affairs officials are telling drivers to demand reimbursement from the gas stations where they fueled up because in many cases, insurance won't cover the cost of those repairs. Christopher Cruz, CBS News.
Snoop Dogg has made a splash as an NBA analyst, joining Reggie Miller and Terry Gannon during the second half of Peacock's recent Warriors at Clippers broadcast. He also will be involved in NBC Universal's coverage of the upcoming Winter Olympics as his role with the broadcaster expands. An AP reporter trailed Snoop through Inuit Dome for an all-access behind-the-scenes look at his preparations for the January 5th broadcast, including production meetings and pregame interviews. Snoop says this wasn't a cameo. He aims to bridge the gap between traditional broadcasting and new audiences, much like he did during the Paris Olympics in 2024, and says he's eager to continue evolving as an entertainer and embracing opportunities in sports and beyond.
That's somebody who's impressed me through the years and how he has
Had staying power.
A big star. I mean, he was a star when I was a freshman in college.
And yeah, I never would have envisioned that he would have been like the hero everybody wanted to see at the Paris Olympics.
I agree. 10-time Gold Glover, 6-time Platinum Glove winner, 8-time All-Star. Perhaps among the very few to ever field his position, Nolan Arenado.
Getting his feet underneath him. There's a ground ball towards third, and charging is Arenado. Bare hands it, throws on the run, gets his man. A very Nolan Arenado type play as he gets Ortiz by a half a step. Outstanding play, ends the inning.
Nolan Arenado, the call on KMOX from Ricky Horton, and he just did it over and over again. It was a pleasure, a privilege to go see a player like that at the ballpark every single day. And not only was Arenado a great defensive player, he was an outstanding hitter for many years, 3-time National League home run champion, and he finished third in the MVP voting in 2022. Could not come through in the postseason, and his offensive numbers did diminish over the last few years. But the Cardinals did make the move yesterday. They decided to trade Arenado and give him a change of scenery, acquire a prospect, another pitcher, Jack Martinez. They also helped the Diamondbacks out with salary. 31 of the $42 million Arenado is owed. And now they boast a lineup that is homegrown, and that is part of their goal. They could, however, add a veteran hitter. And Chaim Bloom has told us that on Sports on a Sunday Morning multiple times. He doubled down on that yesterday.
I think for the most part, and this is true on the pitching side too, we are going to be a younger team this year. I think that's a good thing given where we are. And you could argue it's a good thing in almost any situation because usually young players have more room to improve. And like I said, their best days tend to be ahead of them, and that's exciting. I do think having some experience in that position player side, having both for the talent it could provide and in the leadership would be helpful. I'm hopeful that we line up on something at some point this offseason to add that, knowing that we have moved a lot of that off of our club. It would be nice to add some of it back. Don't know yet what exactly that's going to look like, but I'd like to think that it's something that we'll be able to do between now and when we get to camp.
Bloom also officially announced the signing of right-handed reliever Ryan Stanek. City announced the signing of midfielder Daniel Edelman, the 22-year-old from the New York Red Bulls. Billikens play tonight, 7 o'clock tip, 6:45 pregame against Fordham. Don't overlook the Rams now. They won at St. Bonaventure recently, even though the Billikens are rolling here at 15-1 and unbeaten in the A-10. Coach Josh Schertz.
Yeah, absolutely. Fordham, Mike's done a really good job there. He's a great coach. They've got a really good team. He's done a wonderful job with them. And so they were close. They went into Dayton. I think they lost by 5 or 6 at Dayton, and then they go into St. Bonaventure, get a big win, and they'll be coming here certainly, flying with confidence. And so, yes, excited to get back home. Would love to see our crowd, rocking. Like I said, when Chaffetz is going, I've been at VCU, I've been at Dayton. I'd put Chaffetz up there at the top of the list of any venue in the league.
Then New Year's Eve, they almost sold the place out for the game against St. Joseph. 7 o'clock tip-off tonight, SLU and Fordham at Chaffetz Arena. Blues won last night at Enterprise Center, 3-0 over the Carolina Hurricanes. Joel Hofer with the shutout. Blues next game is Friday as they take on Tampa Bay. More hoops tonight. Mizzou at home against Auburn at 6. Number 13 Illinois at Northwestern at 7:30. I'm Tom Ackerman on the voice of the Cardinals in Billikens, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
KMOX, celebrating 100 years. Presented by Purina, your pet, our passion. Now, a KMOX pioneer.
A trailblazer for women in St. Louis broadcasting, Ann Keefe brought intelligence, fairness, and integrity to every story she touched. Joining KMOX at a time when few women held newsroom roles, Keefe quickly earned the trust of listeners with her clear reporting and unwavering professionalism. On At Your Service, her interviews became must-listen moments, thoughtful, tough, and always balanced.
With a television, a video terminal display, and a telephone at his side on the beach, Richard Deal may be setting up a whole new trend in business. Incidentally, it's a pretty good way to cut back on office rent. I'm Ann Keefe.
Ann Keefe opened doors for generations to come and helped build KMOX's reputation as a station committed to accuracy, fairness, and the community it serves. Ann Keefe, a KMOX pioneer.
Hey guys, Kevin Wheeler here to tell you about 213 Complex, which is available at Supplement Superstores. Look, it's the time of year to make things happen with health goals. 213 Complex will do for you what it does for me. Gets the metabolism rocking and rolling 24 hours a day, helps you fight cravings, gives you all-day focused energy with no crash that comes at the end of the day either. It's been a big help for me. It will help you. So get out to Supplement Superstores. Tell them Kevin Wheeler sent you in. They'll knock 30% off your 213 Complex. To get started down your path and find your location, just go to supplementsuperstores.com.
They're back and bringing all the hits.
This is Rascal Flatts.
Rascal Flatts, live at Enterprise Center, January 17th. Sing along to all of their best songs. One night, one stage. All the songs you love. Tickets still available at Ticketmaster.com. For more information, KMOX.com/events.
Debbie Monterrey, Megan Lynch, Tom Ackerman. Total Information AM on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
7:51. We got some bright sunshine downtown. We'll get the forecast in just a moment. Right now, it's time for Roger Brand and the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Yeah, the sun could be in your eyes on some of these eastbound runs, Debbie. Eastbound 70 is just a little busy, approaching 79, but there's slow traffic coming up the hill from 94 through to the Blanchette Bridge. It's a little busy going up the hill at Air Flight, and then there's a couple of slowdowns approaching Hanley all the way in through Jennings Station as well. Southbound 170 is slow at Olive, jammed from Delmar down to Brentwood right now. Southbound 270, 364 down to 64 busy. Southbound 61, Wentzville Parkway on to 64. All the way to 364 is slow. Boone's Crossing to almost Timberlake. Crossing 270 into about Spady, and then McKnight into Big Bend is heavy. Westbound 64 from the Science Center headed out to Big Bend, and then it's slow from Lindbergh out to Ballas. Northbound 270 from 55 pretty much all the way up to Ladue is just congested off the pace the whole way. Northbound 55, Union Road overpass up to Weber jammed, and then it's slow through Virginia after that. 44 from Park Avenue out on the westbound 70 at Madison is heavy. Westbound 64 25th Street to the 70 split, and then 3rd Street to the Poplar, you've got heavy traffic for Illinois drivers. Next update is 7:58 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Going to be a cold one today, blustery, says AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg. That wind's going to bring the temps down, feels like single digits by Saturday. Temperatures falling through the 30s today, low 18 tonight, 36 the high tomorrow, up to 45 Friday before we really cool off Saturday. Currently, it's 39 downtown at the Arch.
The news continues at 7:52. Missouri is officially pivoting back to nuclear energy.
I am proud to announce that Missouri and this administration is all in on nuclear.
In a policy shift announced during his State of the State address, Governor Kehoe declared that wind and solar alone cannot power the state's economic future.
We know nuclear is a safe, reliable, and clean energy source that can and will power Missouri's economic future for generations to come.
Kehoe signed an executive order creating a nuclear energy task force to identify sites for new reactors, and he specifically mentioned the need for reliable baseload power for data centers and manufacturing.
An Illinois State Supreme Court justice is stepping down after decades on the bench. WBBM's Rob Hart with more.
Illinois Supreme Court Justice Mary Jane Tice is retiring at the end of the month, nearly 43 years after she was appointed as a Cook County Associate Justice. She was appointed to the State Appellate Court in 1993 and has served on the Illinois Supreme Court since 2010. Tice succeeded Ann Burke as Chief Justice of the court in 2022. Her term ended last fall. She wrote the opinion in the case that found the elimination of cash bail in the Safety Act to be constitutional, among other rulings.
Appellate Judge Sanjay Taylor will fill Tice's seat through December 2028. Taylor will be the first Asian American to serve on the Illinois Supreme Court.
An executive search firm has been hired to find a replacement for Rhonda Homnebrugi. The director of St. Louis Lambert International Airport since 2010 has announced her retirement with a target date of August. Greater St. Louis Inc. says it's hired the firm Korn Ferry of Los Angeles. Mayor Spencer would ultimately make the hire. The person hired would need to jump right in to handle the $3 billion rebuild of Lambert.
Members of Crew 11 are departing the International Space Station after one of the crew had a serious medical issue last week. CBS News space contributor Christian Davenport says it shows that NASA bends over backwards to take care of its astronauts.
In this case, I think they are erring on the side of caution. Astronaut safety has got to be paramount, but it shows that when you're in space and you're, 240 miles away in orbit, if you have a medical issue, even if it's not something that's dire an emergency, they're going to make sure that the astronauts are cared for and come home and make sure that they are treated for and come home safely.
A top national criminologist thinks St. Louis is on the right track when it comes to reducing crime.
Speaking on KMOX's Chris and Amy show, Thomas Apt with the Violence Reduction Center talked about getting people together locally in 2023 to form Save Lives Now groups. He explained how those identify people most at risk of shooting others or being shot, then deliver this sort of message.
If you continue being involved in violence, you will be held fully accountable. But we're also providing a message of empathy. It doesn't have to be this way. You can make a different decision, and supports and services are available if you want to change.
Apt said the city police chief and prosecuting attorney also deserve praise for the reduction in crime over the past 12 months and past several years. Brad Choate, KMOX News.
It's 7:56.
Hey, this is Charlie Brennan, along with Dr. Colleen Bosler and Dr. Adam Voss at the Audiology Center. When was the last time you really enjoyed a conversation without straining to hear?
Charlie, so many people think hearing aids just make things louder.
But that's old technology. Today's hearing aids do so much more.
Exactly. With the dual chip technology, our hearing aids actually separate the speech from the background noise.
Which means at a noisy restaurant, you'll hear your friends and family, not the clinking dishes.
And the best part, your brain doesn't have to work overtime trying to fill in the blanks.
So that keeps your mind sharp, your conversations easy, and your relationships stronger.
Because hearing well isn't just about sound, it's about staying connected.
Thanks, Doctor. Call the Audiology Center today to schedule your annual hearing evaluation. Don't miss another moment. Call 636-441-7470 or visit theaudiologycenterstl.com.
This is the story of the one.
As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy.
IT?
Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu, an elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
Overhead Door Company of St. Louis is hiring residential garage door technicians and installers. Join the team trusted here since 1926. Apply today, get a call today. No experience necessary. We will train motivated applicants to repair and install garage doors. Mechanical, carpentry, and service industry experience is a plus. Hiring bonus up to $4,000. Benefits include health, dental, vision, and pension. Earn as you learn to service the best garage door customers in St. Louis. Apply today at overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
Let's get back on the roads with Roger Brand, Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Tom, it's still pretty slow on North 270, north of 55. It bunches up at Tesson Ferry through 44, but remains heavy all the way up to Ladue. South 270, Olive down to Ladue is slow. Eastbound 70, east of Zembel to the Blanchette Bridge, a little slow. Lindbergh through Cypress and the Bermuda Air headed into Jennings Station. Eastbound 64 from Boone's Crossing to Clarkson's busy. Approaching 270 into Spady, McKnight to Big Bend. South 170 is solid jam. Olive to 64. Westbound 64, Kings Highway through Big Bend is heavy. Next update at 8:10 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Today is Wednesday, January 14th. Total Information AM continues with Megan Lynch. Could too much reliance on digital storage put valuable human knowledge at risk? Find out more after the news.
A new study shows the vast majority of small businesses are underinsured.
KMOX legal analyst Brad Young will tell us what the law says about those runaway monkeys and goat.
And we'll get perspective on the latest crime stats from a local judge and prosecutor. That's Debbie Monterrey. I'm Tom Ackerman. Megan Lynch is indeed next. I'll be back with the Gas House Gang at noon with Chris Ranji. You're listening to Total Information AM. Billiken basketball tonight, 6:45, 7 o'clock tip. Chaffetz Arena against Fordham. Tickets available.
News, talk, cards. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Pfizer.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. A funeral procession in Tehran for more than 100 security personnel and civilians killed in massive protests against the government. It comes as Iran's top judge hints at swift trials and executions of violent demonstrators. CBS's Courtney Keeley.
What the regime is doing is trying to break not just the back of people by taking out their loved ones as like in a kill zone, but instill this kind of terror and fear of not being able to reach anybody.
Iranian human rights groups are warning that one 26-year-old protester may be executed a day after President Trump warned on CBS News.
We will take very strong action. If they do such a thing, we will take very strong action.
The president is repeating his threats to seize control of Greenland ahead of a high-stakes meeting at the White House today between representatives from the island, Denmark, Vice President Vance, and Secretary of State Rubio. EU Chief Ursula von der Leyen.
Greenland belongs to its people. So it's up to Denmark and Greenland, and only to them, to decide on matters that are concerning Denmark and Greenland.
President Trump posted anything less than making Greenland a part of the U.S. would be unacceptable. Federal agents continue to use aggressive tactics on anti-ICE protesters in Minnesota. That's anti-ICE agents. There are now about 2,800 officers in the Twin Cities, double the number of local police. U.S. Border Patrol Commander Greg Bovino.
If they're United States citizens or legal permanent residents or have some type of legal status to be or remain here in the United States, there's no reason to be scared. However, if they are a criminal alien or an illegal alien, then they should probably be very scared.
all of you well-heeled shoppers out there.
The parent company of Saks Fifth Avenue, Neiman Marcus, and Bergdorf Goodman says its stores will remain open as its bankruptcy plays out. A group of bondholders has agreed to provide $1.75 billion in financing to prop up the company. Saks acquired Neiman Marcus in a $2.7 billion merger just last year, but sales of luxury goods have been declining, and the company missed a $100 million debt payment last month. If Saks manages to emerge from bankruptcy, it will likely be smaller with fewer stores. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
Shoppers up their spending at the end of the year. Commerce Department reports retail sales increased a better than expected 0.6% in November, getting some of the credit, sales at clothing and accessories stores. The new report was delayed for more than a month because of the government shutdown. Dow futures down 172. This is CBS News.
You still got it, but your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Sponsored.
At 8:03, we have sunny skies, 39 degrees downtown at the Arch. Today is Wednesday, January 14th. I'm Megan Lynch. Missouri's State Board of Education votes to lower St. Louis Public Schools accreditation. Only one board member voted against the move, and AFT Local 420 tells KMOX DESE ignored their own determination that accreditation would be frozen in place until 2027.
SLPS now has provisional status. This opens the door for the state to have more oversight and charter schools to expand. The dissenting vote from Pamela Westbrooks Hodge says lowering accreditation is a broad classification signal.
And by itself does not fix audits, stabilize transportation, or strengthen governance.
Local AFT spokesman Byron Clemens.
Part of this comes down to one person, the CFO. It's kind of interesting to punish the whole district for the actions of the person who used to work for KIPP Charter Schools. It's now CFO of the district, was hired under the previous leadership.
Maria Akina, KMOX News.
I'm Michael Calhoun. After the vote, SLPS is moving quickly to reassure families that the change to provisional status won't actually change what happens inside of the classroom. The district emphasizes that schools will remain open, seniors will still graduate on time, and local governance remains in place. While leadership says they are disappointed by the outcome, they're pledging to focus on stability and financial repairs to win back full accreditation as soon as possible.
Governor Mike Kehoe says Missouri is losing the economic war to its neighbors, and income tax is to blame.
Missouri's population is stagnant. Over the past decade, our economic growth has been average at best. That's not a trend we should accept, and it's one we cannot afford to continue.
During his State of the State address, the governor told lawmakers that when companies look to expand, they're skipping the Show Me State entirely.
Missouri brings real strength to the table when recruiting jobs and investment, but when we're competing against states like Tennessee and Texas, states with no individual income tax, too often the conversation ends before it truly begins.
The governor's plan to eliminate the income tax includes triggers, meaning the cuts would pause automatically if the economy slows. When first introduced by Governor Mike Kehoe, the St. Louis City Board of Police Commissioners was tasked with helping the police department fix their recruiting and retaining process. What do they have in mind?
Board President Chris Saraceno says there is one major way they can turn around the department's lack of staffing, which remains hundreds of officers below its budgeted strength. Find more money for them.
We have committed thousands of hours of looking at every aspect that makes this department click and what we can do to find the efficiencies in that. And finding the efficiencies will also find us dollars in order to bring that back to hiring more officers.
St. Louis City Police Chief Robert Tracy looks across the state to show where the city's pay scale needs to be.
Our counterparts across in Kansas City right now, they keep hiring. They're getting bigger hiring classes. But they start out at $12,000 to $13,000 more starting pay, and their top pay is about $15,000 to $20,000 more than our officers here. That's where we hope to be.
Tracy and Saraceno also point to streamlining the HR department to help make hiring faster. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
The city offering residents who have secured a monkey the opportunity to turn it in without facing a penalty for violating the law. But what happens to that animal? Justin Hauser, the city's Environmental Health Bureau chief, was asked if euthanasia was on the table.
We don't want to limit our options. We want to ensure that these monkeys end up in the best place for them. And there are multiple agencies in the state that we've been in contact with that have the willingness and the resources to make sure that happens.
One more. You don't want to limit your options, but euthanasia?
All options are available currently.
The city is no longer actively searching for runaway monkeys, but advises anyone who sees them to call animal control. Missouri's LGBTQ plus public policy and advocacy organization, responding to the Missouri Supreme Court decision on Senate Bill 49, Promo's executive director, Katie Lynch, says today is a disgraceful day as the courts failed Missourians. Senate Bill 49 establishes the Missouri Save Adolescents from Experimentation Act. Under it, no healthcare provider can perform gender transition surgeries on any minor. From the business desk, sponsored by Krentz Financial Group, KFGadvisors.com, St. Louis shoppers could soon see their groceries arriving by air. Our region is on Walmart's list for a major drone delivery expansion launching over the coming year. The retail giant teaming up with Google-owned Wing to bring the service here, part of a wider push to reach nearly 300 stores by 2027. The Tether system can lower packages under 5 pounds right to your front yard. It's now 8:08. We will check traffic and weather in 2 minutes.
I do appreciate all the referrals that we receive daily. It is phenomenal. I've said it. I can't say it enough how much I do appreciate the referrals. With that being said, if you do refer me, you're in great hands. I will not sell homeowners that work hard for their money, just like myself, crap that they do not need. But if you want good quality, man, you can't even say cheap anymore. I don't think I can even say cheap you can't even go by price. Okay, that's another commercial. Call me, Bart Inman, one easy number, Missouri and Illinois, 314-293-2600. Remember, it's the only number, Missouri and Illinois, 314-293-2600 or BartInman.com. Now that's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $40 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $18 a month, a savings of nearly $300 a year.
Whether you need a $100,000 policy or a $10 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance. In a hurry? Don't worry. With SelectQuote, you can get up to $2 million in instant, affordable same-day coverage with no medical exam.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-637-9116. That's 1-800-637-9116. Or go to SelectQuote.com. That's 1-800-637-9116. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your morning news and information. Total Information AM.
Well, coming up on Total Information AM, something new to worry about. Whether the valuable things we store in the cloud or on other digital formats could be wiped out and lost to humanity forever. First, though, hopefully we don't have that dire of news on the roads right now. Roger Brand is in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
No, thankfully, Megan, just mainly slow going out there, so that's good news. But there's still quite a bit of it, especially northbound on 270. You're still bogged down approaching Gravois. It goes all the way up to Ladue. South 270 through Olive down to 64. A little busy, but that part not so bad. Eastbound Highway 70, still some slow stuff around 94 5th Street and a couple of spots from Florissant Road in through the city limits. Southbound 170, that's getting heavier. Not a solid jam, but it backs up at several points from north of Page all the way down to Brentwood. Northbound 170 from 64 up through the Parkway is slow as well. If you're coming in on eastbound 64, a couple of spots from Prospect to the 364 area where it's busy through Boone's Crossing, just past Clarkson, across 270, and then east of Lindbergh through the Interbelt. Westbound 64 is a jam from Hampton to Big Bend. It's slow from Lindbergh out to 270. Northbound 55, Bales up to River to Pears, slow. 44 from Park out onto 70 at Madison is slow. Westbound 64 is still kind of heavy at the 70 split. We got a pretty big jam southbound on St. Peter's Howell Road down to Central School Road. That's due to an injury crash. Next update at 8:20 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Center, blustery and turning much colder today. Clouds and sun at some times, especially this afternoon. Temperatures are going to fall throughout the day into the 30s. For tonight, clear, brisk, much colder. An overnight low of 18. Mostly sunny tomorrow, cold, a high of 36. And for Friday's, a mix of clouds and sun, breezy, not quite as cold, a high expected around 45 degrees. Right now we have sunny skies, 38 degrees in Florissant, 37 in St. Peter's, and 39 degrees downtown at the Arch. Thanks for listening to Total Information AM. I'm Megan Lynch. More people rely on the cloud, for example, and other digital ways to save things that are important to them. But our next guest warns that humanity could eventually lose important knowledge because of our overdependence on this digital memory. Jack Bialik is author of the book Lost in Time, Our Forgotten and Vanishing Knowledge, and joins us this morning. Good morning, Jack.
Yeah, good morning, Megan. Thanks for having me on.
What in your experience led you to consider this, how we store information and knowledge?
Yeah, it was kind of an interesting beginning. It's taken me 10 years to put this book together. And I started out just by collecting interesting little facts. I saw that we had done cataract surgery in 800 BC. A physician in India, Shashruta, did that, and he did many things. He was a famous physician, but I said, wow, they did cataract surgery. I wonder, and I started investigating, and I found, wow, the Egyptians in 2400 BC did cataract surgery, and so did the Babylonians in 2200 BC. So I thought, wow, that is really interesting, and I just kept compiling these facts and ended up with a book about them, and took it one step further and thought about what about our future.
What are your specific concerns when we look at the current age and the future digital age?
My concern really is about our awareness of loss of knowledge. We tend not to think about it so much. We put tons of information on our USB drives, SSD drives, and even CDs and DVDs, and we don't really think about how long are those storage media, how long is it good for? CDs and DVDs, the ones you record, well, the pits oxidize, and they'll only be good for 30 or 40 years. How about your SSD and your DVD drive, or your SSD drive and your USB drive? Those, have a short lifespan as well. I mean, maybe how long does your computer last? 5 years, 10 years? They're a short lifespan. I had an example the other day. I was trying to find some old pictures. I pulled out 8 USB drives, and I kept trying them and looking for the picture. And out of the 8, only 6 worked. The other 2, I couldn't even get a picture, couldn't get anything off of them. So, we need to be thoughtful about how we're storing our information for future generations.
In some ways, though, isn't it just part of human existence that we do lose knowledge and history because of the deterioration of what we store things on? For example, paper and other tablets that are lost to history.
Yeah, well, of course, that's happened over time. And you can look at the progression. We stored things on stone tablets to begin with, and those last thousands of years, and we moved to papyrus, which can last 1,000 years. It can last quite a while. Paper, hundreds of years easily. And then we moved to magnetic media. Magnetic media doesn't last that long. I interviewed the head curator at the Computer Museum in San Francisco, and they told me they have these old XT computers and other old computers, IBM computers, and they have stored the data on floppy drives, and some of you may remember what a floppy drive is like. But that media becomes brittle and cracks and falls apart over time. And so what they've had to do is print their information on paper in order to retain it. It's kind of like going backwards. But my point is, really, you just need to be thoughtful about it. If it's information you want to keep for a long time, well, you think about where you're putting it, and put it in a place that, if you want your children to have it or your children's children, so they have access to it. They have a better chance of seeing it or getting it.
What are some other solutions?
Yeah. So solutions you can look for today, redundancy, save information in multiple places. So you have copies of copies. That helps to prolong the life, of course. And also, just being thoughtful about it. Maybe printing something on paper is the right idea. Or, your emails, you think about that. How long your email is going to last? If you have an important one, well, maybe you want to make a copy of it, or maybe you want to print it out, or maybe you want to do something else with it and save it on a media that will be around for a while. So you just be thoughtful about where you're saving things.
Do you have concerns also that we are able to verify information accurately in the digital age compared to something that might be written on paper?
Well, I think we can write down or save on electronic media the same types of information, whether it's well-founded or not. It's probably the source of where the information comes from. That you have to be careful about. More that I've seen in history is if something is useful, something is needed, it comes back. We find it again because it's important to have. In particular, I think about toilets and sewer systems. In the Middle Ages, in the 1500s, in Europe, 1300s, there were no sewers or toilets. The sewage ran off the top of buildings and into streets. Yet, if you go back, the Romans, as early as 500 BC, they had sewer systems. The Babylonians in 2900 had sewer systems. And as far back as 3000 BC, and the Neolithic people in the Orkney Islands in Scotland had toilets. So my point is, to answer your question, that if it's important, it'll be there. It'll come back. We will find it again.
Jack, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time and giving us this to think about.
Yeah, thank you so much. And take a look at my website, lostintime.world, for more information.
Again, that is author Jack Bialik. He's author of the book Lost in Time, Our Forgotten and Vanishing Knowledge. And aren't we all glad that humanity remembered toilets? Coming up on Total Information AM, we are going to go to the Detroit Auto Show. Jeff Gilbert from WWJ Radio in Detroit is going to join me. Let's get a check of the roads now. Other automotives out there. Roger Brand is in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Now, those cars are still moving slowly on North 270, Megan, approaching 44 all the way up to Ladue. South 270, all of Ladue, still kind of busy. Eastbound 64, a little off the pace between Prospect and Lake St. Louis Boulevard. Sun's in your eyes there. It's bogged down at Ballas, and then from Lindbergh in through the Interbelt. The Interbelt's a lot better. We had a minor crash closer to 64. That was why we had traffic slow at Page, but now there's just a couple of spots, olive to 64, not much left. Clear that pretty quickly. Westbound 64, unfortunately, that is still a solid jam from the Science Center headed out to Big Bend. Northbound 55, just Bayless up through Weber, kind of busy, and it's a little slow right around Highway A down in Festus as well. 44 from Park Avenue out onto westbound 70 at Madison, slow. Westbound 64, 3rd Street to the Poplar. That still looks kind of busy. Next update at 8:30 from the Overhead Door Company at St. Louis Traffic Center.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. A question I get all the time is, how did we become the largest injury firm in the world? We have over 1,000 lawyers in all 50 states and close to 6,000 coworkers. Our call center is on duty 24/7. You can reach us at any time at forthepeople.com. But the real reason is we won a lot. When you visit our website, go to our verdicts and settlements. There you will see what our clients were offered and what they were awarded at trial. All those verdicts help us resolve many cases fairly and early. You see, nothing beats reputation. The insurance industry knows who we are. We even have insurance adjusters call us for representation because they know too. We've made it easy. On your mobile device or computer, go to forthepeople.com and we will get busy. It's that easy. Call today. Morgan & Morgan, for the people. Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
VP of Digital Marketing for the American Management Association, a company focused on the management training skills needed to enhance the careers of business professionals. We did our research when it came to the best companies for website development and chose AmericanEagle.com. And we couldn't be happier. AmericanEagle.com worked closely with us to understand the front and back end requirements needed to launch an e-commerce website that could handle the complexities of running thousands of seminars nationwide. Our robust new website and improved SEO saw immediate increases in site traffic and web revenue. If you're in need of managerial effectiveness and success, visit our website at amanet.org. If you're in need of a website that provides an unparalleled consumer experience, I highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Transform your business today. Dial 877-WebNow1 for a free digital consultation with AmericanEagle.com.
Start the new year off on a healthier note by taking active liver supplements from New Nordic every day. Available online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com or at your local CVS, ShopRite, Meijer Grocery, or Wegmans.
Thanks for listening to Total Information AM here on KMOX. I'm Megan Lynch. The Detroit Auto Show starts this week. Is it still the epicenter of the latest automotive news? Let's talk with WWJ radio reporter Jeff Gilbert, who has been covering the industry from Detroit for decades. Jeff, thanks for being with me this morning.
Sure, thanks for calling.
So is the Detroit Auto Show still the biggest deal in automotive news?
You know, things have changed over the years, so it's not so much a big deal for introducing new vehicles. It's more a big deal like any auto show, like St. Louis or another one, for people comparing vehicles. But still, it shows trends, and trends are toward trucks, SUVs, and hybrids.
Let's talk about that hybrid issue, because for so many years, in recent years, it's been EV, all electric vehicles. It looks like some manufacturers are backing away from that.
Exactly. Well, the rules have changed. You're not going to see as many rules in the federal government pushing EVs. The federal tax incentive is now gone. And a lot of customers have found that hybrids are a great alternative. You know, you don't go in pure electric mode, but you do use the electric motor to save a lot of gasoline.
Who are the big movers and shakers in the automotive industry right now?
Well, you know, what's really important is just within the past half hour, they announced North American Car, Truck, and Utility of the Year. So that's pretty good movers and shakers. Dodge Charger winning Car, Hyundai Palisade winning Utility, and the Ford Maverick Lobo winning Truck of the Year. So those are some pretty big honors to start the show.
Sounds like muscle vehicles.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, you talk about giving customers choice. The Charger is really interesting. It came back to begin with as an electric vehicle, and now it's got a gasoline engine. It's not a big V8, but it's a V6 engine that puts out as much power with better fuel economy, and we expect a V8 to come. So, yeah, I mean, Americans do like their muscle.
Any other major announcements that you're expecting out of the auto show this year?
No, it's not like previous years where you had like 20 or 30 new vehicles revealed. You know, Ford is out with a new variant of the Bronco for people who like to do extreme off-roading. And, you know, we're seeing a lot of vehicles that have already been announced. So don't expect any bombshells.
Any other trends you're watching right now, Jeff?
Yeah, the other trend is toward affordability, because there are concerns about that. That's an issue that's been raised time and time again. So trying to get more mid-range trims of vehicles out there, but still giving people the bells and whistles they want.
Jeff, thank you so much. Have fun at the auto show.
Thank you.
That is WWJ radio reporter Jeff Gilbert joining us from Detroit this morning. It is now 8:26. This time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Just at the end of the year, I had my appointment with Ophthalmology Associates. I have worn glasses actually since I was in preschool. So you can imagine that I have been seen by many eye doctors, but really I love Ophthalmology Associates because of their thoroughness and just the way that the staff and the doctors there explain everything. You can have that same level of care. You need to call 314-966-5000, or you can go to youridoc.com. I see Dr. Greg Birdie. One of the things that he has been watching out for me is glaucoma. It runs in my family. Some of my relatives have lost eyesight due to glaucoma. So it's something that we're really concerned about. And we've discussed the risks, and he already has a plan for what steps we'll take if he sees any problems. Ophthalmology Associates has the latest technology to really see inside your eyes and detect those issues without discomfort. And again, I mentioned they have a fantastic support staff that guides you through that process. After my experience there, my whole family, it goes there. You can call 314-966-5000 to go there too, or go to youridoc.com. And just so you know, the doctors of Ophthalmology Associates are Doctors Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Grusati, and Andy Royer. Again, 314-966-5000, youridoc.com.
Honey, that flu keeping you up? Did you take NyQuil Intense Flu?
Nah, I got this. Okay, I don't got this.
Yeah, you need NyQuil Intense Flu.
Undo your flu with NyQuil Intense Flu. NyQuil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms so you can sleep.
You do got this.
NyQuil Intense Flu. The nighttime sniffling, aching fever. Best sleep with the flu medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from
We can be twinsies.
to
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom. Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. member FDIC.
Hi, Margaret with Eamon, Gantner, and Capriano. Our St. Louis Baseball Cardinals reset last season. Now they're planning for the long term. Have you thought about a long-term plan for your family? A will, a trust, powers of attorney? Eamon, Gantner, and Capriano can guide you with a personalized estate plan. Sign up for our free webinar on our website, yourestateMatters.com. Learn more about estate planning, get some answers, list your questions, then schedule a consultation. You can plan for your family, your favorite charities, taxes, your long-term care, and even your pets now, before the courts do it for you later. Eamon, Gantner, and Capriano, yourestateMatters.com.
The choice of an attorney is an important decision and shouldn't be based solely on advertising.
8:30, time to check the roads. And coming up on Total Information AM after traffic and weather, I'm going to talk with Dr. Karen Collins Adams. She is the president of the St. Louis School Board. Of course, as you heard here on KMOX, the school district has had its accreditation lowered. We're going to talk about what that means coming up. Let's check in now with Roger Brand. He's in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Megan, we still have a lot of slow traffic out there. This traffic reports a service of Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. If you're on northbound 270, you've still got busy traffic approaching 44 all the way up to Ladue. South 270, Olive to Ladue, that's still heavy. Eastbound 64 is still a little slow. East of Prospect up the hill to Lake St. Louis Boulevard, and from Ballas all the way in through Big Bend, it's still off the pace. Westbound 64, we had a crash near Big Bend, and so it's a solid jam still from the Science Center to that point. South 170 just kind of busy at the U Club Tower. That's not bad. Northbound 55, Bayless up to River to Pear, and a little busy past Loughborough after that. Eastbound 44 downtown from the Poplar out on the 70. Westbound at Madison, there's some slower traffic as well. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis is hiring residential garage door technicians and installers. Apply today, get a call today. Hiring bonus up to $4,000. Benefits include health, dental, vision, and pension. Apply today at overheaddoorstlouis.com. I'm Roger Brand in the Overhead Door St. Louis Traffic Center.
Thank you, Roger. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, it is going to be cooling today. It's going to turn much colder, a mix of cloud and sun, especially this afternoon. Temperatures are going to slowly fall through the 30s today. By tonight, we're going to have clear skies. It is going to be brisk with an overnight low of 18 degrees. For tomorrow, mostly sunny, cold, a high of 36. When we move into Friday, a mix of clouds and sun, breezy, not quite as cold, a high of 45. But then Saturday, we're back down into the cold snap. Windy, colder, more clouds and sun, a high of 26, and that could push the AccuWeather real field temperatures into the single digits and low teens. For Sunday, partly sunny, cold, a high of 29, and then Monday, still cold, mostly sunny skies, a high of 30. Right now, we're looking at sunny skies. We have 38 degrees in Florissant, 37 degrees in St. Louis, and 39 degrees downtown at the Arch. It is now 8:32.
The St. Louis Symphony Orchestra brings the sweet nostalgia and soul-shattering passion of Tchaikovsky's Fourth Symphony to life this January. This energetic program also features performer Wu Wei playing a stunning concerto on the sheng, a mouth organ and one of the oldest known Chinese instruments. Don't miss this unique program. January 24th and 25th at Powell Hall at the Jack C. Taylor Music Center. Tickets at slso.org.
Just $119 plus a free hallway and take 15% off regularly priced services when you mention the KMOX special. ZeroResSTL.com.
The 29th annual Winter Warm-Up is coming back to Busch Stadium in Ballpark Village, January 17th and 18th. Admission passes and player autograph tickets are on sale now. Team up with Cardinals Care to support St. Louis area children by purchasing your tickets now. It's one of the best events of the year with family-friendly activities, including tours of the Cardinals Clubhouse and admission to the world-class Cardinals Hall of Fame and Museum. For more information, go to KMOX.com/events.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You sort through tons of resumes and you get too many so-so applicants. You're just waiting for someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now there's a place where you can meet them fast. ZipRecruiter.
Need to hire right away. Start your search for strong candidates. The right fit awaits. Build your team. Build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/radio right now to try it for free. And you're on your way to meeting your match. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So try it now. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
A new report shows most small businesses are underinsured. Let's dig deeper with KMOX business analyst Jerome Katz, professor in the Chaffetz School of Business at St. Louis University. Jerry, why are so many small businesses underinsured?
Well, to give you an idea how much of a problem this is, Hiscox, which is a insurance specialist analysis firm, just published their 2025 survey, and they reported that 77% of small businesses were underinsured. How does this happen? Well, small business owners are trying to cut costs, and insurance is something they know they need, but they're trying to pay the minimum necessary. What happens is a lot of the time they cut services, cut things they'd have to pay for, but those happen, and then they're surprised when the insurance doesn't pay.
Is part of it maybe that small businesses don't really know their worth or what some of the things are worth?
Excellent point. You're absolutely right. And one of the things that business owners, when they're looking at an insurance policy, they're looking at how much is being paid out if something happens. But they're not looking at typically are things like what is covered and what isn't covered. And very few business people I've come across will actually sit down with their insurance person and say, here are the things I'm afraid are going to happen or I'm sure are going to happen, and start with that and say, give me a policy that covers those. So there's a lot of room for surprises.
So do you have any examples of where this has really bitten small businesses?
Yeah. One of the other reports that Cox did was talking about cybercrime. More than 69% of companies, U.S. companies in 2024 had been hit by cybercrime in one form or another. Can you imagine that? For the smallest businesses, those with 10 employees or less, they had reported an average of 35 cybercrime hits on them in a year. So that's one major source. The other is obviously thinking about all the tornado here in St. Louis, the wildfires in California. There are all sorts of climate-related challenges and insurance filings.
For any of us that have had to deal with an insurance company when there has been a disaster like that or something, sometimes you don't get great answers from someone about what your policy really says. Where do these small businesses go for some expertise on this?
Well, there are a couple of places to go. One is there's a group called the National Association of Insurance Commissioners, and they have a really cool consumer info source website, and that can answer a lot of questions of what the terms in insurance policies mean and doesn't mean. The other thing is there are places to get consulting advice. One of the best lists of advice givers comes from the ambest.com, AM Best Company. They talk about top lawyers, top insurance companies, and the like. If you are in a trade or professional association, talk to your association. They will have recommendations and advice, and particularly talk to the other people in your business who have gone through this. They can point you to insurance brokers who they trust and who have helped them in the past.
That's KMOX business analyst Jerome Katz, professor in the Chaffetz School of Business at SLU. Jerry, thanks so much.
Have a great week.
Coming up, the Supreme Court tackles transgender athletes in women's sports. I'll talk with KMOX legal analyst Brad Young.
This is the story of the one. As an HVAC technician, he and his digital multimeter are in high demand. So when a noisy office HVAC turns out to be a failing blower motor, he doesn't break a sweat. With Grainger's easy-to-use website and product information, he selects the product he needs to keep everything humming right along. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Every morning, we rise and shine, make breakfast, and brush away the night's rest. These routines help us start the day off right. Nature Made vitamins are a simple step in that daily care regimen. Multivitamins with daily essentials, clinically studied probiotics for gut health support, magnesium to help relax the body. Nature Made is made to care for you every day. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Your Money Report now, sponsored by Eamon Gattner and Capriano Elder Law Attorneys. Here's Bloomberg's Erica Herskowitz.
The consumer price report for December is out, one of the last big indicators before the Fed rate decision later this month. Inflation rose less than Wall Street expected in December. The core consumer price index, which excludes food and energy, rose 2.6%. That's a 4-year low. There was a notable 1.1% decrease in prices for used cars and trucks. And grocery prices rose 0.7%. That's the biggest gain since 2022. President Trump says that the U.S. is imposing a 25% tariff on goods coming into the U.S. from countries that continue to do business with Iran, despite the possibility of that derailing his 1-year trade truce with China, the world's top buyer of Iranian oil. Meanwhile, oil has climbed to a 2-month high after Trump amped up rhetoric over Iran, heightening investor concerns about supply disruptions in OPEC's fourth biggest producer. West Texas Intermediate futures rose by as much as 3.2%, reaching the highest level since early November. Erica Herskowitz, Bloomberg Radio.
This is 104.1 FM KMOX. I'm Megan Lynch. Coming up on Total Information AM before we get to Chris and Amy at 9 o'clock. Brad Young, our KMOX legal analyst, is going to join me. Of course, you've seen all the funny memes about the goat and the monkeys that are reportedly on the loose. But guess what? Now we're getting to the point where there may be some legal ramifications for what has happened with those runaway animals. Also, Maria Kina is going to have a perspective on crime stats from a judge and a prosecutor. Let's get the latest on the roads this morning. Roger Brand is in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Megan, we still have slow traffic on northbound Highway 270. You're still bogged down from 44 all the way up to Ladue. Eastbound 64 is a little busy right around Spady, running in through Lindbergh, and then from there, just pockets all the way to about Big Bend. South 170, just south of Brentwood, is 64. It's kind of heavy. That's not bad. Westbound 64, not jammed like it was, but it's still pretty crowded. From the Science Center, it's slow pretty much all the way to Big Bend. It looks like we have an incident downtown on eastbound 70, just east of Grand. I can see some backed up traffic in the local lanes, not the express lanes of eastbound 70 headed that way. And westbound 70 is slow around that Grand Avenue area as well. So just be advised, but it looks like the issue is on the eastbound side of that. And also eastbound 44 approaching the Musel Veterans Bridge is heavy downtown. I'm Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company at St. Louis Traffic Center.
It's going to be windy and colder today. Clouds and sun mixed, especially this afternoon. Temperatures are going to fall through the 30s. Right now, we have sunny skies, 39 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Megan Lynch. Thanks for tuning in to Total Information AM. Every Wednesday here, we give you the top takeaways of legal stories in the news. Today, we're going to talk about immigration, transgender athletes in women's sports, and of course, a goat and three monkeys. KMOX legal analyst Brad Young, partner at Harris Young and Kaiser, joining us. Good morning, Brad.
Good morning, Megan.
We'll save the fun one for last. Let's start with Illinois and Minnesota. They are pursuing legal action against the Trump administration over immigration enforcement that they're calling unlawful and unconstitutional. What are the arguments from these states?
Well, the arguments from both Minnesota and Illinois is essentially this. Can they seek an injunction against ICE based upon the tactics that are being used, where they're actually serving warrants and trying to arrest immigrants who may or may not be here illegally? So that's the basis of it. The foundation of their legal argument is that the 10th Amendment has what's called an anti-commandeering statute. That means that federal officials cannot force state officials to enforce federal law. And so the argument from these states are that whenever ICE shows up to do an arrest, there are protesters that come out, and then that then forces the police to come out to control the mobs from the protesters. And so that, in essence, is commandeering the local police for what is ostensibly a federal legal action.
Any legal precedent for this?
There is some legal precedent on anti-commandeering. In fact, there's lots of cases. You remember that, for example, California years ago took the position that state officials do not have to enforce federal immigration laws when California was so-called sanctuary state, and the courts backed that up. States don't have to enforce federal law. But here, it's not so much that the states are being forced to enforce federal law, but they're having to deal with the protesters, which are violating or could potentially be violating state laws. So I really don't see much merit to the state's positions in this lawsuit, other than there could be certainly the potential for a temporary restraining order preventing ICE from entering buildings like schools or hospitals or places of worship, because that was traditionally not allowed under prior ICE regulations.
This week at the Supreme Court, justices heard arguments about bans on transgender athletes competing in girls' and women's sports. Let's talk first about the laws that govern this, Brad, because a lot of it is really hyper-local.
It is because Title IX covers women's sports. And under Title IX, the question is prohibition on discrimination on the basis of sex, which is the language that's used in Title IX. Does that encompass discrimination that could be based upon gender identity in scholastic athletics? And if you looked at the oral argument yesterday, I listened to large portions of the oral argument, and there was a focus here in the oral argument on, for example, whether male students, biologically born male students competing as females, if they're on puberty restricting hormone drugs, then at that point, is there a difference? And the science was very much not settled on that particular issue. And so then the question becomes, is it a rational law for states to say that they want fair competition in women's sports if there's no science that backs up equality when these transgendered females are receiving puberty blocking drugs?
Is there anything you can glean from the questions by justices this week?
I can. One question in particular, Justice Alito asked the plaintiff's attorney, what is the definition of a woman? And the plaintiff's attorney could not answer that. And so Justice Alito said, well, how can a court determine whether there's discrimination on the basis of sex without knowing what sex means for equal protection purposes? And I think that was indicative of how I see the court coming down on this particular issue.
Well, Brad, before we let you go, we have got to talk about the story that has
Yes.
hit international news from St. Louis. It's been in everybody's AI videos. There's memes. It's a story that's had legs. The runaway goat and the monkeys, or the alleged now. We don't even know now. The health department actually is saying the goat may be a hoax. And I'm wondering, on that point alone, could someone be prosecuted for that?
I don't know that someone could be prosecuted. Certainly, they could be prosecuted if you could prove that it was done with the intent of wasting police resources. But the issue here, when we talk about the vervet monkeys, is essentially this: both city ordinance and state law bans the ownership of primates. So whoever owns these monkeys, they're violating the law. So the question becomes: can they be both prosecuted criminally, which they can, or civilly, which is interesting a take because they're violating the law. Technically, the damages suffered by, for example, the city of St. Louis could include all of the salaries paid for the health officials or the animal control officials who have been supposedly chasing these monkeys around North St. Louis. They could actually sue the owners of these monkeys, if we could ever find who they are, for those damages. So there actually are some legal issues, both criminal and civil, related to these monkeys.
Now, as far as this investigation goes, it kind of plays into my first question. You know, there have been a lot of memes and fakes, and officials have actually said that has made their job harder because some of them were so realistic. Could that trigger any legal action against someone?
I don't see that, because they would have to show that the purpose of the meme was to deceive officials as opposed to the entertainment value of showing monkeys in front of Crown Candy and taking selfies along with drinking beer and hoarding cash. So the purpose is clearly for fun purposes, and so I think it would be a very, very hard case to make that it was being done for the purpose of obstructing justice or interfering with the health officials or the animal control officials in finding those monkeys.
Well, Brad, thank you for helping answer these important questions.
Yeah, these are the most important questions of the day, Megan.
Of the week. That is KMOX legal analyst Brad Young, partner at Harris, Young & Kaiser. Thanks so much.
My pleasure.
It's now 8:48.
Now the news at 9, The Talk. The Chris and Amy Show on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It's Tom Ackerman. I've known Jim Brennan, the president of McKelvey Homes, for years. They always do it the right way. And the reserve at Wildwood is proving again with incredible home sites moving faster than expected. If you're thinking Wildwood, don't wait. Go to McKelveyHomes.com right now. McKelvey Homes. They've been building trust in St. Louis for over a century. The Reserve at Wildwood, their latest, a 50-acre development with walking trails, incredible home sites. They're selling quickly, and when Jim builds it, you know it's done right. McKelveyHomes.com. Move up to McKelvey. Park-like settings, walking trails, top-rated schools, minutes from Wildwood Town Center. McKelvey Homes, now selling the Reserve at Wildwood. Again, go to McKelveyHomes.com before they're gone. 1898 is when McKelvey Homes was founded. Missouri's oldest home builder. Move up to McKelvey.
Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, you wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real, and I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Welcome back to Total Information AM on KMOX. I'm Megan Lynch. As we've been reporting, Missouri State Board of Education has voted to lower St. Louis Public Schools accreditation. Let's talk about what that means for the school district and, of course, its students with Dr. Karen Collins-Adams. She is the school board president. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
So what does this mean, first off, for the district?
Well, it means that we have to actually, there are a couple of things that we're working on right now. We have to get that audit that we're behind in turned in on time. We've given a date of January 31st, and we're pushing as hard as we can to be able to get that information, the documents that need to go to our external auditor to have that report ready, approved by the board, and then sent to the Department of Education on time. So that's the first thing. The other things that we're doing is, our school district has made progress on our annual performance reviews over the last 3 years. And so we're academically moving up. That is not even the challenge that was presented with the Department of Ed yesterday. And as far as concern over leadership, Kelvin Adams ran the school district for 14 and a half years. And then they had an interim person because he left in December, and that was the time that he chose to be able to retire. Someone else came in for that portion of that year, and then they hired a new superintendent who the previous board then had to release because there were some discrepancies, and she was terminated. They hired an interim superintendent to be able to take the place of the superintendent they released. And we moved again to remove that individual to be able to have what we have now is Dr. Myra Berry, who is an interim superintendent. She is also the former head of the Human Resources Department and has been in the school district. She's been a principal. She's been around. She lives in St. Louis. She understands our district. We hired her to be able to spearhead this situation that we have been faced with faulty audits and not getting them in on time. And of course, this late submission is something that she inherited. So we're working very diligently to get this cleared up so that this is not a mar on her leadership and her ability to be able to move forward with our district. So I don't understand why. I know they've given reasons, but I don't understand why at this time it was significant enough to be able to reduce the accreditation status of the school district when other school districts, of course, you don't want to throw anybody else under the bus, but other school districts have similar problems or even greater ones. And this affects not just SLPS, but the city of St. Louis. So we really have to look at this to determine what we're going to do next. We're coming up with a plan. We have some steps in place now. And then we'll move to significantly I think that the parents celebrated when we determined that we needed to have a new superintendent and to move forward with the interim placement that we chose, and that was Dr. Berry. So the parents felt confident that we had someone that understood our school district and our city to be able to help us grow. I don't think that was an issue with the parents. I want them to understand, and I really have to have the entire community understand that this move doesn't change anything immediately. What it does is increases our skill set. We have to be able to produce. The district has to produce, but it doesn't change anything that is actually going on right now and it's already started, the progress that we've started making in our schools, that doesn't change. As a part of what we're going to do, those plans will be shared with the community and Department of Ed. And as we move from step to step, it'll be celebrated and announced, and we'll get input from everyone to be able to build some success.
The one thing that we have been told, Dr. Adams, is that this would open the door for the state to have more oversight potentially and for charter schools to expand. What would that do to the district if charter schools expand?
Well, if charter schools expand, parents start looking at options to leave the school district and move into a charter school. But we have to look at whether or not our charter schools have been successful. And so the parents have to do their research, and there has to be a balance in their minds of what they need and what they're going to get. Now, I don't know if this actually opens the door for the state to take over and create more charter schools. I think that is conversation that's going on around the city, around the state. Well, we can't control those conversations. What we can control is what we're going to do to be able to prevent anything else happening that would warrant the need for the state to be able to take over our district.
You mentioned that you want the audit to be complete at the end of this month. What happens if it's not?
I will be able to cross that bridge when we get pretty close to it, but we will know that well in advance of that date.
Okay. Dr. Adams, thank you so much. Appreciate you taking time to join me this morning on KMOX.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you. Thank you.
That is Dr. Karen Collins Adams. She is president of the St. Louis Public School Board. It's now 8:57.
Are people really hesitant to come downtown? The Blues are struggling, but they still manage to bring in near sellouts every game. Plus, Greg Favor, the new commissioner of the City Emergency Management Agency, and the Midday Midlife. Does gentle parenting actually work? It all starts at 9 a.m. on the Chris and Amy Show on KMOX.
Time now for today's Spotlight on Money, sponsored by LendSeek.
Are you looking for a job in the new year? Avoid the AI filter, which is inflexible and unmoving.
It can't correct itself because it's working off of its system.
Rick Cobb of the workplace consulting firm 2 Discern says work your professional network because face-to-face communication is the artificial intelligence workaround.
Humans can change their minds all the time. And one of the ways people change their mind is when they meet somebody.
I'm Rob Hart.
As the owner, coach, and quarterback of your small business, you call the shots. From